right, here we go. So, welcome to another episode of the Uncivilized Arts podcast. I'm your host, Bumi Hazan, but I go by Bandit Haze in the online space, and we are back with the second episode of 2024. We're back with the 2024 season, and I'm back with my number one favorite in the world, cosplayer extraordinaire, Celeste Orchid. How you doing today? I mean, I guess I know how you're doing because we talked a little bit before the recording, but you know,
Oh, I
how you
mean,
doing today?
for those who are in the future, I'm currently pregnant, 25 weeks, but I'm still feeling my oats, feeling my princess oats for today's topics.
Mm,
So
indeed, I mean,
feeling
definitely
good.
got the outfit for it. And I can see the flowers and I'm pointing like you can see where I'm pointing. You got the flowers
Yeah,
and
here,
the
should I hold it
florals in
like
the
this for you?
background, so it's like all princessy, Disney and princessy.
Oh,
Um,
we came prepared for this episode.
and I wear my Slipknot t-shirt because Disney princesses. So I will, yeah.
I mean, the old school Disney like before Disney princesses, they were like hardcore metal, like
Oh,
plucking
they,
eyeballs and
yeah.
people dying and stuff. Like, it was not pretty. There's a lot of bad things happening in folk fairy tale lore. It's Disney really made it magical.
No, for sure. I mean, I mean, I guess I've watched a few Disney stuff just anyway in the past, as you know, you kind of naturally watch certain things. But there's certainly a lot of stuff that I haven't watched. I've known about them, of course, and I guess I've kind of known basically what happens in the story because they're so popular. But I haven't actually watched these movies. So yeah, over the last few months, I've been watching a lot of Disney princess movies from the old school up into the new school. So not all of them, of course, because there's that many, but I've watched quite a
Mhm.
bit. So yeah, be interested to talk about some of the things that I've spotted and compared to some of the things that you spotted and what you know about them. Before we get into all of that, though, I mean, what you been doing these last few months? Like, what you been watching? What you been playing? Have you had time to watch or play anything in the last few months?
So majority of my time was spent obviously pregnancy, but the waking hours I spent so much time in Tears of the Kingdom, Legend of Zelda, yeah. I poured
Mm,
I think 500 hours into that.
wow.
And like I haven't really like worked a lot on cosplay or content creation. I was just like, Tears of the Kingdom, I need to go here, I need to do this, I just want to get this, I'm gonna explore, like just exploring, and that game is so much fun. Did I complete all the quests? No. Did I get all the shrines? No. But I poured 500 hours in that game just running around and having a good time, like and murdering. I mean, killing. I mean,
Well,
like
yeah.
stopping the bad guys.
S-
Like
Slaughter.
it's word choices. You just have to choose the right words. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom was a thing, and then I finally got over the addiction of Pokemon Unite, so I don't play that anymore. But that used to be hardcore, like 3 hours out of one day playing that game. So I'm glad that I've stopped that, and then I got back into League instead because that's more balanced. Weirdly,
League is more. Okay, that's that. Oh, what just happened? Oh,
I'm still
one
here.
sec.
Okay.
Okay. Got an echo going on for some reason. What did I press?
Don't know.
No idea. But
Hmm?
oh, I know what I did. My bad. There we go. I just hit a button that sent my own audio outside a different set of speakers, and I was like, "What's going on?" But yeah, I've got it
Oh
now. I got it.
no!
Um, but yeah, so it's, more. So League is better to was easier to handle your gameplay time than Pokemon. So
Oh,
is that what I'm hearing? Is that what you're saying? That you have a
absolutely.
better time
So
handling League than Pokemon?
it's so sad because with Pokemon Unite, it's essentially the same kind of game, right? It's 5v5 in a battle arena. And the problem is you could have a win rate of 60%. And if that's really high, like that means like you can win very good. Versus you have the 60% win rate. But because you're so high, they're going to pair you with someone that just started the game like yesterday. So they don't know what they're doing. They're going to go into the enemy's like area and just die just because they don't know how to play the game. So they're playing like Charizard and be like, look at me, it's so cool. And then you're over here taking the objective, turning in Pokeball things, and you're making plays. But you have one member out of your team, like one member, so you have technically 4 people that are actively playing smart. And then this other team is like, they're mediocre. Let's say that they have like a 45 to 55% win rate. 5 people who are actually knowing how to play the game and combating your 4, and then you have this one. That could really turn your tides. And for professional people or people that know how to play and just really want to climb to master rank, that's really bad. Because then it's just like, that's not fair. Why am I getting punished to play with these really low players? So it's not fair. That doesn't happen in League because they have like this ranking system that won't pair you with like that. So that's why League is a little bit better. It is the parent before the sad brother of Pokemon Unite.
So I guess the League has really got a hold of you because, like, I remember last time or one time we were talking about League, you were saying that you hate the fact that you love it, and now you step away from it a little bit and you just come right back to it. So League seems like it's got a tight grip around you. I mean, it's your life now, I guess, really, isn't it?
I absolutely hate the fact that I love League. I absolutely hate it. Like, it is such a fun and addicting game, and I always tell people don't start playing it. Why? Because once you learn it and then you get good and then you can't stop playing, it's like a drug. A bad addicting drug. And then you're like, oh, well, it's a free to play game. It is. It absolutely is. And if you want customizations like skins or like cool like emote gestures, like you can pay money for it. You don't have to pay any money for it. That's why it's so dangerous. It's free to play and it's fun. And then when you have like a good group of friends that play with you, it's even worse because now you can't stop because you're like, hey, you want to play a game? It's so bad. It's so fun. But at the same time, it's like there's a lot to learn and each season will change. There's always changes and updates. And sometimes a champion that's your favorite, that you were like the best at godly level, they might change that. And then you're left without your favorite champion ever again.
All right. So as a guess, this question I just thought of right now. If you had to guess how much money you've spent on League since you started playing, like what we talking here? We talking a few krona, a few hundred,
I know.
thousand?
What? Do you want to know? I know how much.
Okay.
Like,
okay. How much have you spent on League?
Okay, so I know for a fact, League itself, like the game, I've only spent roughly $30. But because of my cosplaying and other League events, I've actually made that money back. So technically, it's zero sum, and I got paid by them.
Okay, so you're doing pretty well then. This is fine.
Yeah, I advocate for League. Like, I love it. I like it. I like their storylines, but they have a lot of problems. So for me, I'm not everyone. Some people cannot be like a cosplayer and make money off of doing that, and then be a content creator and make money off of that to pay for League. But at the same time, I'm just fortunate that I can say, no, I don't want to buy this. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I know for a fact I've poured at least $30 into it, but I have made money back from them for cosplay things.
But even without the cosplay, if you just spent, say, like $40, $50, so let's say between $30 and $50 on League, that's not too bad because you've been playing it for years. So even if you never made that money back, like over the years you've been playing it, $30 is pretty decent. Because you hear about people who, I mean, maybe not so much with League specifically, but certainly with, free to play games in general, where people have spent like thousands within a few, weeks or months of playing. And that's what it's like, dude, chill,
Oh, no. Like, I absolutely know people who have spent thousands of dollars on League. Like, my one friend had a very high ranking account, and he's like, over the course of time, because he had a very old account, like from 2013. So that's, that's really old. He's like, I know I've spent over like $2,000 on this account. And it's just like, it's just cumulative at that point.
Yeah.
But I remember that Diablo Immortal came out, and there was like some guy that was like, oh, I'm gonna spend like 5,000 just to make sure that my character was busted. And turns out his character wasn't busted. He was just really bad at the game, despite spending that much money. I'm like, oh my god! I hope that taught you a lesson. Just get good at the game, and
Well,
maybe buy
indeed.
like small things. But yeah, there is definitely a skill cap in League of Legends. So,
I
but it
think the
doesn't make you
most.
a better
Oh,
player if you spend money. Okay, it does not make you better if you spend money on League. It is just customizations, more things you can choose from for your gameplay.
yeah, you still need to actually be good at the game, which is good because some games do have that kind of pay to win mechanic or system where you can pay to get a better gun or a better whatever armor or whatever it may
Yeah,
be. And yeah, that kind of sucks because then you're paying to have a very clear tactical advantage over other players. And yeah, that sucks. I think for myself, though, the most that I've spent on a free to play game, like, if I remember correctly, it was some years ago now. I think it was uh, uh, what's that one called? Clash of Clans, that mobile game, Clash of
oh, that
Clans.
one I can imagine.
I was playing that for a while. I got quite into it. And I spent, I believe, somewhere around, I'm gonna say about £30, give or take, maybe up to
Oh,
about 40, over probably about a month or two. So yeah, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't like I'm certainly not like I mean, it's definitely way worse than that. I know, but for me, that's a lot because I don't
that
typically
is a
spend
lot.
any money on down. Like it's rare. Like before, that, I think the most I maybe spent is maybe like £4 or £5 on some DLC or something,
Yeah,
or some microtransaction or whatever. But so yeah, to spend like £30-40 in a few months for me, it's a lot. But yeah, I was
yeah.
kind of like,
I
you know what,
do.
this is yeah. Let me chill. Let me stop while let me stop
Yeah,
before I
I've
go broke
spent
because I'm
probably
heading.
75 dollars, 75 USD is probably my highest, and that was for Pokemon Unite. I bought a, s- I got a few different things, but the biggest thing was that I wanted this outfit for my main character, and I still love it. I use it all the time. I don't regret it, and it makes me really happy to have it in game because they don't offer it anymore. Like you can't get it, and I'm just like, I need it. It's girly. My avatar uses it. My character uses it. Like I like it. It's the most
Mm.
princess girly shit ever, and I'm just like, I need that. I don't care how much it costs. And this is cumulative as well because I've thrown money on top of it. So I'm like, I need the season pass, and I need that. I'm like, oh, that's a cute outfit too. Yeah, being a female and then having cute customization shit is so dangerous. And with Pokemon Unite, you have like your Pokemon trainer, so you can change your hair, your clothes, your backpack, like your gloves, your shoes, your socks, your pants. And when you get into that full on customization and even eyes, like eye color, you can change eye color, but you gotta pay for that. Uh, I'm just like, I gotta spend money. I need to
Yeah.
change it now. I have such a
Oof.
problem. I'm like, oh, let's play dress up. That's me.
Yeah, it's but no, for sure. I mean, they're designed to be kind of like addictive and designed to kind of the worst ones are the ones where they would give you like a price or whatever, right? Say it's, I don't know, £5. Oh, it's probably more than that by now, I'm sure. But let's say it's £5. And you think, I don't know, let me allow it. And then you see it next week and it's still £5. And the next week's £5. And then the week later, they'd be like, yeah, for this week only, it's, £2.50. And it's still more than what it's actually worth. But now you're thinking, all right, let me do it. Those what it's like that is like those they're so easy to like kind of get you in that door, like spend a little money here and a little money there, a couple of quid there, a few quid there, and before you know it, just like you say, it's cumulative and it just adds up, and then you look at your bank balance at the end of the month, like, damn man, what did I do?
No, it gets even worse when it has like a countdown. So it's just like, you have 10 days left to purchase
Mm,
this. You have 9 days left. And it's like, do you want it? You know you do. But I
yeah.
mean, if you don't
Quit
want it,
playing.
it's
Quit
okay. You
playing.
won't, it's going away in 9 days. I'm just like, I don't need it. I don't
Yeah.
need it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need it. Because like I can put down the game in 9 days, come back and be like, see, I didn't need it.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's
Yeah.
it's very hard because I'm like, oh, that's really cute. Anything that's like frou frou girly, like today's outfit is brought to you by frou frou girly, like Lolita brands. Like it's not. We are not sponsored. So anything that is sparkly, anything that is pink, purple, maybe light blue or white, and then there's a whole other subgenre to my life of black goth and metal and studs and spikes. But I have two different types of like the Wednesday thing. Like I'm eating it here, and then I got Wednesday here. Like
Ah, yeah.
not the
Yeah.
in between shit. None of that superhero shit. I don't care. No, none of that other stuff. Not no. It's either this or this, and I will throw money at it. Anyways,
All right. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about some stuff I've been doing in the last few months. Just a few things. But before I do, I actually need to make a correction because I was speaking to Sweet Monday on the last podcast episode, and I said something that afterwards I realized, ooh, I made a bit of an error. So I watched Dune Part Two. Great film, by the way, if you've not seen it. Really good film. Really builds on well from Dune Part One. Not for you, I guess.
I started watching the first one. And I was like bored, turned off.
Oof. No, I thought the first one was great. I even liked the original one from the 80s. I've not read the book, by the way, but the original movie from the 80s, I like that. But yeah, Dune Part 1 I thought was really good. Dune Part 2 was just excellent, built on really well. But the thing is, on that episode, I was talking about Dune Part 2, and I said that, yeah, I want to go see it, but it's 5 hours and 40 minutes. And the reason why I said that is because when I looked it up online, and I swear, when I looked up online, it did say 5 hours and 40 minutes. But then I looked up again afterwards, right? And it said 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I was thinking, sorry, was it, 2 hours 40 or 2 hours something anyway?
Are you seeing the two backwards turning to a 5?
And yeah, and I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm sure I saw it said 5 hours and something like that. I feel like I didn't misread it. Like I'm pretty sure I saw 5 hours, but no, it's not that long. It's still a long movie, by the way. It's 2 hours and something. 2 hours 22 hours. It's a long movie.
Nothing will be as long as the Batman with Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. Like that.
That was I think over 3
so
hours.
Long. That was 3 hours. I'm like, there is no reason for this movie to be 3 hours. I sat through it. I was like, they could have cut a lot out. There was a lot of scenes where I'm like, you really didn't need that. But again, if you could sit through the Batman, you could probably sit through Dune 2.
Oh,
even
sure,
though I haven't even watched the first one.
I mean, look, I got it now. So yeah, Dune Part 2 is 2 hours 47 minutes. But I swear when I looked up the first time, it said 5 hours and something. So I don't know if my eyes were playing tricks on me, if I misread, or if somehow Google accidentally put the wrong one up there and then changed it afterwards. I don't know. But yeah, it's not 5 hours. It's still a long movie, but it's 2 hours 47 minutes, just under 3 hours. Dune Part 1 was quite long as well, I think, actually. Yeah, 2 hours 35 minutes. And just for comparison's sake, The Batman, where's that? The Batman, 2 hours 56 minutes. So yeah, just under 3 hours, 2 hours 56 minutes. So yeah, all long movies.
No, it's 3 hours.
It's 2 hours and 56 minutes. That includes credits, by the way.
4 minutes including credit scene.
Yeah, no, 2 hours 56 minutes would include credits. I swear, because the runtime includes credits. Yeah, the runtime includes credits.
I feel like it doesn't. Anyways, that's basically 3 hours. You can't when you have to round up, like round up or round down. That's 3 hours.
But here's the thing though. Like, if you say 3 hours, right? It's like, it's like the whole thing about $2.99. You know what I mean? Like when you see something in the shop for $2.99. If you put £3, it's like, oh, that's £3. If you put $2.99, it's $2.99. Yeah. So like 2 hours 56 minutes. It's like you see the 2, and it's like, all right, cool, I can do that.
That's not how
If you
this
put
brain
3,
works.
it's like, it's a bit long.
This brain likes it to be simpler. Is it higher to this number or lower? And then I'm not, it's like, I don't want to call it common core math, but it's just like, what's easier for me to do the math? Okay, it's like 128 USD to £1. I'm like, you know what? Let's just estimate it. So it's like roughly 125 US dollar to £1. That's much easier than me doing 128. Is that right?
Wait, because okay, wait. I think I misunderstood you. So calculating the conversion to pounds is easier for you than dollars. Is that right? Wait.
No. What I'm saying is if a number is like I'd rather have the number be a multiple of 5 than something obscure like a 7, 8, 3, or 4.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So
Okay.
like 9, that's an obscure one. Like, yeah, it's easy because like you just invert the numbers, but then you had to add taxes on top of that. So I'm just like, okay, if I have to add taxes on top of it, I might as well just go ahead and round it up. So
Yeah, I
and
see.
not round it
Okay.
down. Because then I can get
Okay.
a closer
Because then
estimate
you
to what
get
the cost is actually going to be.
and yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Like working in fives and just easier with the multiplications and gotcha. By
Mhm.
the way, for reference, I just searched longest movie ever made,
Passion of Christ.
and it's not that.
Oh my God,
there's
what
a
is it?
there's a movie called, I think it's called Beijing 2003.
I don't think that counts.
It was released in 2004, and you want to guess the runtime?
4 hours and 45 minutes.
Not even close.
I'm not ready for it then. What is
It
it?
is 150 hours.
Is this like, why am I going to wait?
There is a movie.
Is this just
It's
like Chinese propaganda just being
It
played
could
over?
very well be, but
Like,
yeah,
I
it's
don't
on the
have a
movie.
problem with that, but like, learn to stop.
It's
There's a
called
word.
Beijing 2003, released in 2004.
Okay.
It has a TV PG rating for anybody interested, if you're old enough to watch it. And it
Well,
is
this baby's not, so
150
we won't be
hours.
watching it.
Here's the blurb. It says for 16 days, starting on October 18th, 2003, a vehicle with a mounted camera drives down every single known street in Peking or Beijing as Ring Road, meant to show the city and its people. So I guess it's more of a documentary than a movie by the sounds of it. But
You,
still,
no.
150 hours.
You know what that is? That's one of those TV screens that you just leave on in the background. So, you leave the
Right.
house and the dogs have something to watch. That's not something humans watch. That's for dogs or like
That sounds
cats. And then you go on vacation and you can just leave that playing. Then you come back from holiday and then it's okay because your TV isn't burned. You have different scenes going on. They're
yeah.
entertained. Maybe you have some like speech in there. I don't know if it's good speech. I don't know if it's bad speech. Maybe you have some like rock rubbly sounds. But guess what? That's perfect for when you go on holiday and you have pets. Maybe even a fish tank and just be like, hey, fishes, like, here you go. Well, not here, fish, like, there you
So
go.
would you be
This
getting that for your dogs
nonstop.
then?
There you go.
Would you be getting Beijing for your Beijing 2003 for your dogs?
If it is under, let's say, 20 quid, sure.
Okay. I don't.
Look,
We'll have to see if anybody's selling it. Then we'll see if we can find somebody selling it. I
also,
don't think
if
they
I
have
can
this on
find it.
Amazon.
Because
Yeah,
UK
I don't.
Amazon is different from German Amazon.
There's nobody selling this movie. Damn, it doesn't even have like a shop link or nothing. Not
Well, then
even.
it
It's not
doesn't make
streamed
sense.
nowhere. Oh well. Oh well.
Okay, well,
Anyway,
maybe YouTube
maybe
can
another
offer it.
time. We need to find that movie, Beijing 2003, and see if we can get a copy for Celeste to show to her dogs.
Yes, when I go
That's the
on
plan.
holiday to the
That's the
USA.
plan. All right then. So Yeah, let's talk. Let's move on to the main topic of the day. Disney princesses. I think we talked a little bit about Disney princesses in one of the podcasts last year, actually. Just a tiny little bit, but yeah, I thought it was an interesting subject to come back and revisit and talk about in more depth because, of course, Disney princesses have been around since the beginning of movies, near enough to anyway. I mean, the earliest ones are like 19
70 or no 60.
fifth, even
Hold on.
earlier.
That's
Well,
gonna.
early days anyway. They go back a while. Cinderella was 1950.
Oh,
I'm not
I'm
sure if that
sorry.
was the
It
first.
came out the.
Um,
It's 1937.
1937. Okay, which one was that? Snow White.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
first
so Snow
long
White. So yeah,
picture animated
1937.
movie, and it was a Disney movie, a princess
So yeah,
movie.
they go back a long time, and of course, the stories that inspire these Disney versions go back even further than that. So there's a lot of the themes that come up that are considered, say, outdated by modern day standards, and some themes that are maybe we should be going back to. Maybe we've lost our way a little bit as well. But yeah, let's talk a little bit, well, more than a little bit about Disney princesses. So let me start with the most basic question. Do you have a favorite Disney princess and why?
I have an absolute favorite Disney princess, and that is Cinderella. Um,
Cinderella. Okay.
so like before I rewatched everything, I was just like, this chick gets a magical dress from a fairy godmother, like and glass slippers. Like, holy crap, that's so magical. That's like the epitome of magic to me. Having a dress come out of thin air and you have glass slippers. Like that just changed my life. Actually, my entire dress is Cinderella. Here, let's see. You can see where is she? She's right here. There's Cinderella.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the pumpkin carriage here. So this outfit is a Lolita-esque inspired Cinderella outfit. But I loved her because she was like, oh yeah, I clean the house, I do these chores, and like I get mice and birds to make me a freaking gown. And it's like, that's freaking magical right there. Like I wish my dog could even cut fabric. Like it can't. It lays on fabric. Screw you. But that's magic in itself. And then she also has a fairy godmother that makes her a dress out of nowhere. But as a grown woman now, I rewatched them and it's just like, wow, she's an amazing person. She doesn't yell at people in bad ways. I'm talking about the animated classic movie, not the current one, which I can go into the differences. But she's like, everyone just needs to get along. It's okay if they treat you bad, but don't retaliate. And she just has a
Okay.
really good story. All she wanted to do, she was not about finding the prince and marrying him. Like that is the common misconception. She was all like, yo, I just want to be treated like an equal. Like I want to go to the party because they said every maiden in the land. I'm a maiden. I'm not married. Like I should be able to go. And her stepmother and stepsisters are like, no, you're a hag. Like and that's not nice. You shouldn't treat people that bad. And you should all get along. And so I just think Cinderella is just one of my top fairy tale people of all time. She's like,
Okay.
she knows how to clean, she knows how to cook, she knows how to take care of people, take care of a farm, and treat people nice. Like, how many people do you know how to keep a house clean, take care of a farm, and like get shit on and not retaliate? That's a really high standing person of like good morality.
That's interesting actually, because I wasn't thinking of that at all. But yeah, no, you're right. Like in terms of like this is a person who, because in the Cinderella story, and by the way, there's gonna be multiple spoilers for movies throughout this podcast. For,
This
but
movie's
yeah,
really good.
um, but yeah, in the Cinderella movie, like the stories that her father died after he remarried, and the woman that he remarried only really cared about her own looking after her own kids. So it's a very much no favoritism in that sense. Like look, I'm gonna look after my kids. I don't really care about you. You're just like the daughter of this guy that I married and got his money, and now that you're not around, I don't care. So she was treated badly. She found that she was in a situation where she was being treated badly for a long time, and that's like from her childhood to sort of early adult years, where all well, I'm not sure. Well, actually, no. How old is she? It's like not maybe teenage years
So
actually. Um,
yeah, so her
yeah, maybe
dad,
teenage years.
yeah. So when she meets her stepmother, she's roughly around 9, 10-ish. And then her dad dies like 2 years-ish later. And then, she's subjected to servitude from like technically 14 to like potentially 16, 18.
16.
Um,
Okay. So it's like
but
late,
yeah,
mid to late teenage. Yeah. So yeah,
right.
yeah, not quite fully adult, but yeah, almost. But yes, mid to late teen years, she's had this period of time where, that's pretty much all she knows. I mean, from 9 is it's still a young age to live like that. And certainly when you don't have anybody who's really guiding you in any kind of way of, trying to be positive, like all you have is your own thoughts to go by. So for her to be, get to reach that age and still maintain, say, a positive attitude and, make friends with the animals and the mice and everything else. Yeah, that actually does speak quite highly to a person's mental fortitude and character, actually. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, in the live action Cinderella, she actually does bite back at one scene. So again, spoilers, like it was just interesting how she actually fought back in that sense. She questions her stepmother and she's like, "Why are you so cruel?" And that was never addressed in the animated one. She never actually goes against her stepmother. She never did that. So you never actually saw this young woman stand up for herself. She just took it. She just took it. And then when, she has this chance, she actually takes it and was like, "I don't understand why you're so cruel to me." And it was just so powerful to see that in the live action remake versus, "I'm just gonna be a princess now. Whee!" Not a problem. I like that too. But it is nice to see some of the adaptations become a little bit more modern in the senses of like, yes, you can still be like passive and not aggressive, and like, yeah, everyone needs to get along, and yeah, they treated me bad, but enough is enough when it doesn't make sense anymore. Like, you have to know, why are you doing something like this?
Mm.
But
So
that's my
the
favorite Disney princess, Cinderella. I even
so the
have her
original one was it what was it said? Was it 1937? Wasn't it? Was it 1937? No. What did we just
what is
say?
it?
One sec. The original one was 1950. Excuse me. So the original was 1950. The remake, the live action version was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that? 65 years apart. Do
Mm-hmm.
you feel? Cause I've only seen the original. I've not seen the live action
The new one
remake.
with Kate Blanchett and what's her name?
Uh,
Lily, is
Lily
it Rose?
James.
Lily James, thank you.
Yeah, Lily James, Richard Madden, Stellan Skarsgård, Holiday
And
Granger,
Helen Bonham Carter.
Sophie McShera. I'm just reading it off the thing, by the way.
Yeah, but Helen Bonham Carter is the fairy godmother. That's an
Do
outfit I
you
like. Will I cosplay it? No.
do you feel the changes they made with the live action remake, like in particular, like Cinderella speaking back and that whole thing? Do you think those changes were justified in terms of, okay, we're in a different time now and we need to do things differently than in the 1950s, or do you feel like those were kind of unnecessary and not appropriate? Or what's your feeling towards the changes to Cinderella between the two movies?
I think it's justified. I think there are some things that just make more sense to have as opposed to not have at all. And that was one of the changes of like, when will someone break to actually be like, "Why have you treated me so badly all these years?" And like, you can only take it so far, and there are some people that
Mm,
never actually break and ask why this toxic person treats them that way. And I think it's empowering in a sense that if you have this moment of like, I've done nothing but everything you've asked of me. So why are you, I'm trying to be the best daughter I can for you, but you treat me as a servant lunch. Like you think of me as a pig. And it's just heartbreaking, you know? But when you get down to the nitty gritty, it's just like, well, why? You just have to ask that. And I think the changes that they made are really good just to show and educate, like, I don't want to say little girls, but just like anyone who feels repressed to not necessarily stand up to your oppressors, but like at least question it and get the answers of why. And is there some way for you to actually go against this kind of problem to like safely for yourself? Because like if you have a very like let's say toxic relationship and you don't know how to get out of it, maybe you can start thinking of ways to get around it, as opposed to like Cinderella's situation. Her situation was, okay, we have this shoe here, you're a maiden, you have to try this on. Like that's the king's order. Versus, you know, you have to live under this person's roof, otherwise you have nowhere else to go. What are you going to do? And so then you can start actually formulating like, can I find friends to sleep with? Can I go to a shelter? And I think it's really powerful in those kind of things of like, you have the power to change what you want if you're smart enough, or at least question it to figure out like this is good for you, to be able to question at the right time.
Mm.
I did have some other things that I didn't like, but it's okay.
Okay, well, no,
Like
we could come to
it's
that.
just me nitpicking. It's not a big deal.
Oh, we can nitpick. We can nitpick.
Oh,
But
okay.
just before we nitpick though, let me just to your point about that. Oh, let me just not knock that too much. Yeah, you know, you're right about sort of the safety, like in terms of like if you are in a situation where you are being on the receiving end of being abused, especially when you're talking about, you know, a parental figure where, you know, you're a young person, you know, you might not have anywhere you can go. Figuring out that point where it is safe to speak out is not always going to be the easy thing to do. And I think sometimes when you're not in that situation, it's very easy to kind of look on it and be like, oh yeah, just say this or just say that, or just, you know, tell him this or just tell him. And the reality is that you could do that, but you can might find yourself out on the streets with nowhere to go and no one to take you in, and like say no friends to stay with or anything. Because I mean, Cinderella didn't have any friends, right? At least not in the original. She all her friends were animals, you know.
Yeah.
So like they're like mice and rats and a dog, I think, and a horse. So it's like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Stay with, yeah, not probably not, you know. So yeah, that's a massive consideration. I sometimes feel like not everybody really thinks about that. It's not as straightforward as just speaking up for yourself, because speaking up for yourself could make a bad situation worse. And figuring out when to do that, how safely you can do that, that's going to be a massive part of talking about speaking against abuse. You feel like with the new movie though, when she spoke out with her stepmother, do you feel like Cinderella in that movie did it in a safe way, or was she in a situation where she could still end up, you know, making a situation much more worse? Well, I
So
guess you could always make it worse, but yeah.
I don't think it could get any worse than what she was having, unless because at that point, the stepmother and the stepsisters had used up so much of the money that they didn't have any servants. Before they used to have servants, they used to have maids, helping them take care of their grand little villa that they had. But because they used up so much money, Cinderella was reduced to the only one doing the chores. So it would not have got worse for her in that sense, because her daughters probably won't clean and cook for themselves. They probably won't make the tea or fetch berries from the forest. Instead, they'll make Cinderella do it. So, yeah, okay, like she didn't get to go to the party, she doesn't get to do these things, and she's still reduced to a life of servitude to her family, you know, married in family. So, or her step family. So, I think it was a safe time to do that, for her to do that, because it really couldn't get any worse. Like the only other option that they had was to sell her and then buy like a new maid or something. But I don't see that really panning out in the whole storyline. But would be created. So in that sense, yeah, I think it
Okay,
was safe for her to go ahead and do that.
cool. All right, well, let's get into some nitpicking then. What didn't you like about Cinderella, whether both the original or the remake?
Okay, so my biggest nitpick of that whole movie was the magical scene, the Helen Bonham Carter scene. I looked so forward to it. It had so much hype to live up to, and the whole transformation scene was just not fun. It was not bubbly. It was just like a quick like take that, and it's like it wasn't as magical as what I was hoping it to be, and it that was the biggest like letdown. So they had like this glass gazebo. The glass gazebo was beautiful, and Helen Carter is just like, okay, well, we need a gold, we need this. And she didn't speak in rhymes. It wasn't cute. It was like, it's okay. You're still Helen Bonham Carter. I love you. Like you're working with what they gave you. But the way that they scripted it was just very lackadaisical. It just wasn't whimsical. It wasn't that magical feeling. Like you saw her and you felt the magic, but as soon as she started casting the magic, it was just very meh. Like, watch this. I was like, this is not Harry Potter. Can you not do that? And so one of the scene, like the pumpkin becoming a carriage, they get squished inside this glass gazebo, like the glass greenhouse. And they're like, she's like, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I'm like, this isn't funny. Like, this makes me disappointed. Like, I wanted to see a bouncing pumpkin. I wanted to see something a little bit more enchanting with the magic, not just this, like, let me swell so big, destroy a greenhouse that absolutely did not have to have this problem. Because now Cinderella's without a greenhouse, like that makes me really sad. What about all the other plants inside there? Like, what the fuck?
Mm.
Why would you do that? And so, it breaks the greenhouse, and then boom, all of a sudden, pumpkin. And I'm just like, that wasn't magical. That was painful.
Oof. Yeah.
Because like now, if she has to go back to the place, she's got to go back from the party to her house to a shattered fucking greenhouse. You don't think her stepsisters and the stepmother's not going to be like, what the fuck happened to our greenhouse? Like, why is this shattered? Like, you're not going to put two and two together, which they do. And it's just like, okay, that was a bad choice, because if you're trying to make it inconspicuous, you really were not discreet on that. And like, just that whole segment of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo was just not my favorite. And it really hurts because it in the animated one, it is so magical. Even in the Drew Barrymore Ever After movie, it is still magical, like in its own way, because that's a Renaissance period timepiece where she meets like Leonardo da Vinci. He gives her the wings, and then she goes into like this thing. She shows up. It's fabulous. But Helen Bonham Carter's version, it makes me sad because there was so much potential, and the only scene that's really perfect was when she actually changes into the dress. And I'm just like, if the whole thing could have had that same energy, that would have been a knockout. Like, the movie's still great. I still love that movie out of all the live actions that I've seen. And I'm just like, if they put that same kind of energy when she transforms into the dress to like the pumpkin, the mice, I would have been happy. So that's my biggest nitpick of that movie. I'm just like, everything else I don't care about. Like, that part alone defines Cinderella.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, well, I won't comment because I've seen it, but yeah, I think I understand in terms of like, especially when it was. I mean, the scene in the original where she meets a fairy godmother. I'm trying to remember that scene. Is like, yeah, with the pumpkins and she's telling everything, and I think she doesn't know it's her fairy godmother right away. Is that right? Like, she doesn't know it right away, and it's
Right.
And then so there's this whole kind of thing about who are you, and the kind of discovery of it all. Yeah, and I guess with at least from going by what you said, I guess with the remake, it is not quite capturing that kind of essence of it feeling like this amazing thing. But yeah, no, I do like Helena Bonham Carter as an actress. The movies I've seen her in, she's always been amazing. So I'm sure she's still great. Maybe it was just bad writing.
Yeah, it could just be the direction that they took with that they didn't want it to be too commercially cartoony, just like the animated
Mm,
movie. But when that is your point of reference and they wanted to do something different, it came out too much like a magic show mixed with Harry Potter. Like, I hate calling it that, but when you just point your wand and say the words, it's not as magical as like the original when it was a like a song and it's fun to say. It
mm.
didn't seem fun to say. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Bippity, bippity, boppity, boo. And that's exactly what she did. And it's like it's supposed to be like really. I think could have been more enchanting.
All right. So, do you have a least favorite Disney princess?
Absolutely.
Okay, who gets the
That is
dishonorable mention?
Raya and the Last Dragon.
Okay, that one I didn't see. Okay, why is Maya and the Last Dragon your least?
Okay, so uh it is an Asian representation movie. I understand that. But the whole movie's theme is about distrust. And that's like the most heartbreaking thing, especially when I was watching it. I was pregnant with my firstborn son. So it just hurt my heart so much of like how people are just like so distrustful. Everyone's out for themselves. Everyone's money hungry and power hungry. And like they don't want anyone and they're clawing their way to the top. And in certain instances, Raya herself was very much the same kind of distrustful person. And that whole storyline just it really hurts my heart. Like it just focuses so much on like people not trusting one another, and because of that, this fog, this mist, I forgot what it's called. It actually turns people to stone and like this. And it's like it's taken so many people and it's broken families, it's destroyed villages. And I'm like, that's really sad. This is so dystopian, like Southeast Asian kind of storytelling. And I'm like, this is a really, really sad story for a Disney princess to have. It's not about love. It's not about finding love. It's not about going to a freaking party. It's not about like adventure. It's about just trying to save the people from whatever this cloud thing is. And their last hope is to have this dragon, quote unquote, which that it wasn't funny to me. So it was a really heartbreaking story. And like with my hormones surging, it made me cry. It made me so heartbroken to think like Disney animators would love to put out a story about distrust and like like um like the loss of faith in humanity as a Disney princess. And they had so much name calling and saying people aren't good enough or they're not strong enough. And it was like, this is not the Disney brand. Like, this is not a Disney princess brand that I'm okay with, like, at all.
Mm,
Because it's just really heartbreaking. There's not a good type of magic. And it's just kind of like, oh well, I'm this one person. I'm the person that just turns in the project in like a in a classroom setting, and I don't really contribute as opposed to everyone else. And it's just like really sad because that was also like part of the storyline. So it's just like what made animators think, okay, we have underrepresentation with Southeast Asian because the only Asian we have is mainland, which is China. And then let's see, how are we going to turn this into a story? Okay, let's have some kind of war. So you have this kind of war thing going on, and how else can we depict that in a kids movie? And I'm like, you're gonna put this in a Disney princess movie? I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is really sad. So I absolutely hate and loathe Raya and the Last Dragon.
okay. So the
No,
movie that Disney made, um you said an Asian representation movie, and I
It
guess
really
they failed at representing Asians, or at least representing this particular Asian.
like, oh my god, like, why would you make a movie like that? Even Moana and Polynesian, like, it was it like her people came together to make a happy, like, harmonious island, and then she had to battle the environment changing, and then they found a way to adapt. It was not about people not working together. Like, I understand, like, you need new storylines to tell, but damn, that is not a storyline you should tell. Like, Hunchback of Notre Dame, not for kids. Like, oh, you're gonna try to adapt that for kids? Well, guess what? That was not for kids. Like, Frollo loving Esmeralda and, like, tying her to the stake and killing her and being all like, "Hey, Esmeralda, if you don't become my bitch, like, I'm gonna kill you." Like, oh shit, this is not for kids.
Yeah, Hunchback. I don't think I've seen that, but that's it's an old one, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
well,
that's like
1996.
90s. Yeah.
1996. And actually, speaking of the 90s, because that it's kind of an interest for me when I was watching some of these Disney, going back with the Disney princess movies, because I feel like I noticed a change round about the 90s, maybe late 80s, 90s, with I guess maybe The Little Mermaid might have been the first kind of inklings of it. That was 89, and then onwards, where there was more of a what's what I would feel like an emphasis on this the strength of the character and not just being a damsel, where it became
Yeah, like a
more.
search of independence.
Yeah. And I mean, well, Hunchback was 96, so maybe that kind of missed the memo. But but
You don't want a pole dancing gypsy hottie, like, going around and, like, tempting your city councilor.
yeah, well, I mean, I don't mind, but
That's why she wasn't a Disney princess. You can't have a pole dancer. She literally
that's the
throws
thing
a spear
about
to
this.
the
Another
table
thing,
and
actually,
she, like, spins around it. It's a great
wait,
scene.
they're not in Hunchback. I'm pointing
Yeah.
like I do that. I point like you can see what I'm pointing to. Habits.
It's
Over
okay.
there. I've got a few screens.
It's
So
okay.
there,
I have only one screen today
that
because
one.
I'm not in my workshop.
Which one? That one. That one. Yeah, that one.
Anyways,
What was I saying? I forgot what I said. But yeah, okay. So
yes,
yeah,
the search of
Hunchback.
female independence.
Pole dancers in Hunchback. Okay, maybe I'll make a note to watch that movie then. Let's
It's a
put pole
good
dancers in it.
movie as like not 14 plus, but like 16 plus years old, because it does have more mature themes. Like, there's death, like, immediately in the first 10 minutes. It's like, wait, okay. Why? And it's got racism, like, immediately. He's like, oh, yeah, you're a gypsy. I'm gonna off you. You're impure. Like, ooh. And I'm just like, I'm 8. So, like, why? Why is this happening? I don't know what this means. Like, I didn't know. Someone thought that this was a great movie to produce, but you know what? It's a classic.
But
It's got some good bangers.
okay,
Anyways,
to be fair though, I mean, 1996. I mean, like I say, I haven't seen Hunchback specifically, but just of remembering 1996 because I am of that age.
we both are.
I do feel like the children of 1996 are different from the children of now, right? And I'd have to assume the children of 1996 were different from the children of 1950, and are different from the children of 1930s. So like, I feel like that back then. I mean, if it had racism and death and things like that, so I think Lion King had quite a bit of death in it as well, if I remember correctly. And certainly other movies, other kids' movies or other kids' TV shows, had stuff like that. In fact, Disney in general, as I think you pointed out the other day, other time as well, is that there's been historically a lot of death in Disney movies, sort of in the history of Disney films. So I do feel like what we were watching back then and what we thought was okay, and how I guess our sensibilities to the imagery that we had, whether that was some of the violence or what I mean, I don't know if we'd call it. I don't know if violence is the right word, but not violence as in like gory, bloody. But violence is in there's some action, there's some death, there's some fighting. There's definitely some intense moments. Right? What we watched back then, we were fine with. We watched things like Thundercats, where they had like swords and whatever, and He-Man, and we
like
watched
He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
right, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like these were like these were the children's shows of like the 80s, and then going into the 90s. So I thought we're okay with that.
But they wasn't dead. You never saw Shredder die. You never saw Bebop or Rocksteady and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like kick the bucket. You know what I'm saying?
True. There wasn't a lot of death. They did have some. They had. I can remember at least one death in Thundercats in the beginning. But even then, he kind of comes back a lot, so it's not like he's dead.
But that's what I'm saying. In Disney, you're dead.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair.
You also didn't say who your favorite princess was and your least favorite princess, by the way.
I'm not sure I have a favorite or a least favorite. I will say that I'll tell you one of my favorite Disney movies though, which is technically not a Disney princess, and that is
we're on
Encanto.
Princess Day, but go ahead and do the podcast.
It's my podcast, damn it! I'll do what I want.
Clip it.
But Encanto is one of my favorite movies. Not just his favorite Disney movies,
really?
just favorite movies. Yeah, Encanto I thought was brilliant.
I didn't. Yeah, go on.
Sorry.
I didn't expect you to like Encanto.
Oh, okay. No, I thought it was amazing. Yeah, I thought it was an amazing film. And yeah, technically not a princess, but I do think she has some Disney princess traits. Like, let me just get it up here real quick. I like the songs in it as well. The songs are brilliant in that movie, by the way. They're some of the best songs you'd ever hear. But yeah, you have this lady this young lady who is, she's in this family where everybody gets a gift, a magical gift when they're coming of age, and when it's her turn, she touches the door and it doesn't happen. So she's having to deal with the disappointment from her grandmother, abuela, her abuela, and then at the same time, her mother is trying to, show her, love and everything else, and through the healing of the foods, but she feels that from her grandmother all this time, that disappointment and the way her grandmother, and it's not maybe the same as what they did with Cinderella in terms of treating her that badly, but there is certainly a similar kind of
a stigma,
of that thing of like, you're different, and you're different, I know you're different, and I'm disappointed in that you're different, and maybe I'm not saying it verbally, but it's coming out in a way that she treats them. And they have that scene in Encanto where she speaks back to her grandmother and gets really mad and just kind of shouts back. But yeah, I just thought that was just a brilliant film that dealt with a lot of how families, especially in sort of modern families, can feel sometimes, where you're that one who maybe didn't go to college, or you're the one who, whatever, you dropped out of school, or you did something that disappointed your family in some way, and even though they don't say they're disappointed, everything they do and where they treat you lets you know that, so I feel like that speaks with a lot of people in the world, whether in the past or even now. And in particular, there's a character in that film, Louisa. I'm the strong one, that one, right? That song,
I like that song a lot.
Surface Pressure, brilliant song, right? And I just kind of felt like so many people can relate to that. So many people can relate to that feeling of, yeah, I'll do it, because you can count on me, and I can do it, because you realize that people depend on you. People look to you for whether it's strength, whether it's guidance, whether it's whatever it may be. But so many people look to you for something. So and because you're kind of putting everyone's needs ahead of yours at times. You're saying, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I'll take it. Don't worry, I got 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 it. And even though you don't got it, you're telling people you got it. And there's that point where it's like, how much can you take? And that breaking point. So yeah, that whole song and her character was just, yeah. But yeah, she's not a Disney princess. Not really.
No, so they have they have the Disney princess archetype in there, and that's Isabella. And that's why she's in the pink purple dress. My favorite character in that movie.
Isabella.
But it's just so sad for her. Like, I love her so much. I actually want to cosplay as her because she's like my fave. But they only have her making roses and flowers, and her potential has not even been realized. And they like stunt her, and it really makes me sad because I'm like, well, we technically don't need Peppa controlling the weather if we just let Isabella make the plants that she wants. And in that essence, you can have like fields of crops as opposed to just flowers. So you could have like watermelons, you can have strawberries in the middle of winter. And it's like, I want a strawberry right now. Isabella, can you help me? And it's like, here. You know what I'm saying? Like, her potential has been so limited by her having to be perfect in Abuela's eyes. And that's reflected in her song, kind of like Lisa's, because she's supposed to be so strong that everyone relies on her. It's like the guys are like, oh, the donkeys. I'm like, look, you little bitch ass, just round them up and drag them back to the thing. Like, why do you have to like, are you that incompetent? Like, you let donkeys out because you don't know how to close a gate? That's your fault. And like, okay, can you reroute the river? It's like, can you just ask Peppa to make it rain more or something? Like, there's other people with powers. Yeah. Like, don't make this one person carry the whole village. So I when I first watched the movie, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I thought it had a really bad message about family. And then like I rewatched it a few times because I was just like, no, that song was catchy. I'm going to rewatch it again. Yeah. And then more subtleties started coming out. So Encanto grew on me. It was an acquired taste. It wasn't like an instant like, psh. But that's nice. So Mirabelle's your Disney princess.
Yeah. If I have to pick an actual Disney princess, though, let's see here.
They were thinking about inducting her into the princess lineup, but because Encanto is getting really popular, they're trying to make it its own standalone thing. So I think in a future park sense, they're going to make like a casita, and then you can actually meet a few of the characters.
Okay, so like, was it the Disney theme park type thing, or?
Right, because like right now, Anna and Elsa are not in the Disney Princess lineup because they're in their own separate thing. They're in their Frozen lineup. They will not be inducted to the Disney Princess Hall. Like, it's a very separate thing. So when you say Disney Princess, it's like it's literally like a specific mold that they have to fit into, and it's a specific branding intellectual property. So like Anna, Elsa are not part of Disney Princess lineup. They're part of the Frozen lineup. So that's why when they have like the Disney parks, that kind of things, that's why they have Arendelle, and they don't have like France like, oh, here's Beauty and the Beast along with Cinderella. Like, they can't do that. But with Arendelle, they can, because they focus on that. So they were originally considering having Mirabelle join the Disney Princess lineup, but because of how popular, like, we don't talk about Bruno, because that topped Let It Go, that they're like, okay, we should make like a live action casita, kind of like come together and be interactive for our guests and meet and greets inside the casita as well. So Luisa, Bruno, and I think Mirabelle. Mirabelle did make an entrance in front of doors at certain Disney parks, but I think they are trying to work on an Encanto land, like a mini land. So yeah, she might, but Right now, the last Disney princess to actually be inducted is Raya.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know it was that deep. Okay,
I told you,
that's interesting.
I love Disney
But
princess shit.
wow, okay,
I
okay.
know.
But Elsa was a princess still, right? Am I
She's not.
misremembering? Like, because wasn't her
Elsa's a queen.
father? But what? Sorry.
Elsa and Anna are queens.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, you're right. Because they rule, don't they?
Sorry,
Okay,
was that a
because they.
spoiler?
Oh well, we're all spoiling everything anyway. Now, I've seen Frozen. I've seen Frozen. I've seen Frozen
Yeah,
1 and 2,
Elsa becomes queen in the
but
first Frozen movie, anyways.
no, because I guess it's been a while since I've watched those movies, so maybe I kind of forgot that bit. But yeah, no, yeah, because their parents go away. I mean, they literally go away, right?
They go
Um,
away. The Disney
and
go
they don't
away.
come back.
It's not the
Um,
getting milk kind.
well,
It's
yeah,
the
went to
Mufasa.
buy milk down the street.
No,
Just popping down the street
it's
to
a.
buy milk. Be back in a minute.
Oh yeah, what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, 20 years
No.
later. But yeah, Elsa is in charge of Arendelle. So yeah, so she transcends princesses. Okay, so I can't pick Elsa as my favorite. Okay, so we'll take it
You
off the
can't pick
list.
Anna as your favorite because she transcends that.
Can't pick Anna. Anna was pretty cool though. I liked Anna in that movie.
That's actually my
Um,
husband's favorite Disney princess.
yeah, because Anna was like, okay, so here's the thing, because when in the first movie, Anna was really the one that held it all together. Um, like there was a whole thing about to undo the spell. She needed, was it something from about love, like somebody to love her,
No,
right?
it was an act of true love will
And that's a
heal
true
her.
love. That was it, yeah. And that's a true love, right? And they kind of like, and I guess the way they do the movie and the way they tell the story is purposefully to make you think, oh, because that guy's in love with her, they need her to do something. But the act of true love was really her trying to save her sister. You know, like that's how the spell broke in the end, because like her act of true love was like her loving her sister. And so although she got frozen, it was like, yeah, not quite. I mean, to be honest, it's been a while since I watched that movie, so maybe I misremember as well. But
No, that's
that's
right.
how
She
is
got frozen solid. You're correct.
yeah. And then because she got frozen solid while trying to save her sister, trying to save her
Hmm.
Elsa. So yeah, that was really the acts of true love that saved her in the end, and not necessarily the acts of true love that somebody else had to do for her. It was the acts of true love that she was doing for somebody. Um, so yeah, like yeah, Anna was the real MVP of that movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like she's so human and relatable, and like it's so sweet because like for so many years after their parents died, Elsa shut herself away and she was alone. She
Mm,
wanted companionship. She wanted someone, and she didn't know how to branch out. And when you're a princess, no one's going to treat you like a human. No one's going to treat you without certain royalty. So, in essence, she was alone, and that's why the song "First Time Forever" was so important for her, because she's like, oh my god, I get to interact with people. Like maybe I can actually just have fun and see the ballroom and have a dance, and maybe I can meet someone, and it's going to be like love at first sight, and it's going to be
mm,
perfect. And you know when you don't have anyone to fill those voids, you start seeking out and getting a little desperate. That's my Hans. But she does have messy bedhead. She has wishes, dreams. She wants to eat lots of chocolate. She's so human, and that's why I think she doesn't want to lose the last family member. Elsa, that's why she chases after her, because that is her
mm.
blood sister. That's the only thing she has left of her parents.
Yeah. Do you want to build a snowman? That was so sad when like she was singing that song as a kid, and like Elsa was like locking herself away all that time. And do
Mm.
you want to build a snowman? Oof. But yeah, big up Anna. All right, but we can't pick her. So Bun Anna.
I mean, technically, she is a Disney princess. You can still like her, but I mean, you can. She's still a Disney princess at a certain point. It's not until the second movie she
I
becomes a
guess.
queen.
Okay, so okay. So in the Frozen, she was because she's the queen. Okay, in that case, yeah, Anna's my favorite for Frozen 1. Anna's my favorite for Frozen. I don't know if I have a proper favorite or least favorite. I mean, I really liked Princess and the Frog. I liked that movie a lot, just because it was a really cool take on the old, princess, the Frog Princess. No, the Frog Princess or Frog Prince. The Frog Prince. Yeah, it was an old take on the Frog Prince. A new take on the Frog Prince. Excuse me.
Princess and the Frog. I thought.
Yeah. So Princess and the Frog was.
I think that's French.
Yeah. Yeah, The Princess and the Frog is the movie, and then it was based partly on an old story called The Frog Prince, I think. But yeah, I liked what they did with that movie because that was, at the time, this was 2009, when at the time it was released, it was like the first 2D Disney movie for like ever, because they had done a bunch of 3D movies for the longest time, and this came along. I think they hadn't done a 2D movie for, I don't know, 10 years or something. It was a long time. I'm not sure exactly how long, but it's been a while since the last 2D movie.
This one I believe is the last 2D movie that was like hand drawn and worked on. Okay, so it's called The Frog Prince by the Brothers Grimm, and then there's Edie Baker, The Frog Princess.
Cool.
Apparently.
So yeah, they based it on, you're right, partly based it on that, yeah.
Either way, but yeah, we had like Bolt, the Cow movie, and we had Meet the Robinsons before this. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a lot of like weird movies before we had a new Disney princess arrive on the scene, and then we got Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, The Princess and the Frog, though, I really liked the visuals in that, and just a lot of the kind of scenery, and like if you look in the background with a Shadow Man and how they animated the shadows different to how he's moving, sort of things like that. And so yeah, I just thought like they did. It was a cool story. It was a cool visual. They did some really cool effects on it. So yeah, Princess and the Frog is, I think, is a great film. I would say there is, as we were talking about nitpicking a little while ago, there was something in that movie that I noticed where, both Tiana and Naveen are frogs, and they had to break the spell. Naveen had to be kissed by a princess, and it was Tiana's friend. I'm blanking on her name right now. Charlotte. That was Charlotte. Charlotte LaBeouf, not to be confused with Shia LaBeouf.
No. Do it. Just do it, Daddy.
Do it. And because she was, technically a princess because her dad was king of the Mardi Gras, she's kissing him, but it was like after midnight, right? So the spell never broke. And then Naveen and Tiana get married as frogs. And when they kiss, the spell breaks, right? Because now Tiana was technically a princess because became a princess because Naveen was a prince, right? And it's like, okay, cool.
Well, he is a prince. He didn't die.
Yeah, but the thing is that like that was way after midnight when they got married and kissed. So how was the spell broken? He had to be kissed before midnight.
No. Okay, so the whole reason why they had that midnight thing was because the day of Mardi Gras, she was only a princess until midnight for Charlotte to kiss him. So that's the constraint. Okay. It was not about a time constraint. They never had a time constraint except for Charlotte. Charlotte was the only princess in the area that could technically kiss him and make him human again. But that didn't matter because after midnight on Mardi Gras Day, she was back to being, I'm a human. I'm a civilian Charlotte now. So she didn't get
I missed that bit. My bad.
No, it's not your bad. It's a technical thing. It's not like Cinderella. Actually, it's like Cinderella, but a different way. But there you go.
Okay, cool. Okay, I could allow it then. I allow it. But yeah, it's a cool movie though. I really liked, Mama Odie was really cool in that. That was Jennifer Lawrence. Oh,
Hold on, let me
I want to
see.
say who played Mama
Mama
Odie?
Udi
It was Jennifer
is.
Lewis. I think it's Jennifer Lewis.
I'm looking it up because I'm
But
here.
yeah, she's
Mama Odi is Jennifer Lewis. You're
leg-
correct.
Jennifer Lewis, yeah, legendary actress Jennifer Lewis. Um, but yeah, that whole cast was great. From Tiana to Charlotte to everybody was great in that movie. I think I saw it years ago, not long after it came out, and then hadn't watched it until preparing for this podcast.
Mm.
And I guess I still missed that whole thing about the princess and the oh well. But
That's okay. I'm here to. I'm
but
here to
yeah.
help. I like that movie a lot, actually. I love that one because like there's a subtle hint of yeah, Tiana works hard and everything, but when she finds out that like Naveen messed with the Shadow Man, she's like, "Are you a freaking idiot? Why did you work with some guy? Like you got played, you got scammed. Like
Mm,
you're so dumb. Like don't you know not to do that?" And it's just kind of like one of those like spoiled little rich girl playing with the Ouija boards. Like don't do that. Like now you messed up and now you got some shadow haunting you kind of thing. So I just thought it was like really humbling to see like another Disney princess working hard for their dreams. Not saying that a lot of them don't, but
mm.
like kind of like the Cinderella-esque of a more modern period.
Yeah, and with frog, Princess and the Frog, actually, one thing they did that, and perhaps you could speak a bit more to this, is so in a lot of the old school Disney princess movies, the princesses, their futures was pretty much set for them by their parents. You're going to marry this person, you're betrothed to whoever, and that's kind of what they just went along with. And for the most part, in fact, I think all the old school ones, they don't really question that. They just grow up and they marry who they're supposed to marry, right? Because their futures are kind of set for them. And it wasn't until I think around, I want to say Little Mermaid, is when they start branch out on their own, where it's like, okay, I want to do my own thing. And they come to the Princess and the Frog, where she followed in her father's footsteps, because she was like, her dad was this cook and made this gumbo, and then she started making it, and then grew up and opened up her restaurant, Tiana's Place, or Tiana's Restaurant, I think she called it.
Yeah, Tiana's
You know,
Palace.
Tiana's Palace.
She's a princess.
Making her gumbo. But yeah, she followed in her father's footsteps. Not that he set that out for her. I know it wasn't quite that direct. It wasn't like, you're going to be a cook one day. It wasn't like that, I know. But ultimately, she follows in her father's footsteps in Prince and the Frog. I keep saying it wrong. The Princess and the Frog. So yeah, that was kind of a change, if you will, in terms of how Disney's been doing things for the last, sort of, I want to say 10, 15-ish years prior to that, where the ladies have kind of branched out on their own and kind of did their own thing. And then, where you go back to the old school, where it's like, yeah, they just kind of did what they were set out to do. Or, I mean, you're nodding your head a little bit, so perhaps I got it wrong again. But what's your take on that?
The very first movie, there was no clear path for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. She's a 14-year-old back in like the Yay Day. I don't know what time period it's supposed to be set in. I totally didn't research that one. I forgot. But you can imagine people dying at 40. So like 14 is like, all right, you're ready to have babies because you're menstruating. Anyways, yeah, her mother wanted her dead. She definitely did not follow her mother's wishes.
Okay, apart from that one then.
Okay. So next
Snow
one
White.
that came out was Sleeping Beauty. That one was weird because the parents did want them to get married, but instead, like, they came together on their own. So it's like, yeah, they did follow, like, yes, they did follow their parents' wishes, but in the process, they didn't know. So, like, Prince Philip, Sleeping Beauty's
Yeah.
like boy toy. Like, he's all like, I found the girl of my dreams. Holy shit. I'm going to find this forest maiden. I'm going to marry the fuck out of her. And then, Sleeping Beauty, not knowing she's a princess, she's like, I met the most wonderful hunter dude. It's like, no, you're going to be a princess and you're marrying this random ass dude. It's like, what? And so, but turns out, guess what? Fate brought them together. They were meant to be anyways. So, in a sense, yes, they did follow their parents' things, but at the same time, Philip was given permission to like stray from that. Aurora was not. So yes, that one's a weird one. So that's like a yes, you're correct. Like they did have to follow, but they followed it in their strange circumstantial way. Let's see, the next movie after that was Cinderella. Cinderella, she didn't really have expectations, which is kind of sad because it's just like you're gonna be a servant for life. So it's like her becoming a princess. Oh no, you didn't have a pairing, so it's not like okay, like you're gonna meet the prince and you're gonna marry the prince. No, that's what she wanted for her daughters, like her two Anastasia and Drizella. She wanted that shit. So they didn't get that shit at all, even with the extended movies. Not good. Don't watch them. They're not that great. Don't waste your time. So after that was Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid, that one's weird because you're a mermaid. We don't know when you die. We don't know what you do. But the whole thing about Ariel was like she just wanted to go to the surface and like see human shit. It wasn't until she saved a human, which you're not supposed to do, did she fall in love with him because she's just fascinated. So she went against her daddy that way. She went to the surface. She went to the sea witch. So that's also a no. That did not really pan out. For Beauty and the Beast, animated, she didn't. It's interesting in a sense because in the beginning, Belle's like, all the villagers think I'm quirky and weird, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And so her dad's just trying to make her feel okay with her position. And so he's like, what about Gaston? He's a handsome fellow. And it's just like, no, he's handsome, but he doesn't understand who I am as a person. And he's like, oh, well, then he's not for you. But he, in essence, he did want the best for his daughter. And apparently that was getting locked up by a prince, which is weird. But I wouldn't say that he had expectations for her to be met like other people. Unlike the next one, which I believe is Mulan. No, it's Pocahontas. Pocahontas, yeah, that one's a weird one because it's somewhat fictional and it's somewhat historical. So yeah, we're gonna just there's a lot to dive into that, but I'm going to say no, she didn't get with the white guy in the first movie, and yes, she did get with the white guy in the second movie. Did her father want that? No, not really, not at all. But that's an interesting one. So we'll just like I think they were trying to like rectify. You know, it's history. Like you know, we have that in the history books. But when we go to fairy tales. You know, it's just there. Like Mulan, like your whole goal in Mulan is like, hey, you're supposed to get married and settle down with this man. Technically, she does. Technically, she does with the family on that one. So yes, you got that one. But she had to become a cross-dresser and join the military, save the emperor, and then she gets a man.
Well, that's the way to do it, right? You know, pretend to be a man to get the man of your dreams. That's how to do it.
I guess
that's probably a bit more forward thinking by today's standards, actually, by today's generation. I feel like that's a bit forward thinking. They pretty much predicted the future with that one, you know.
Oh yeah, they did really good. I mean, she's a war hero. Like, that's one of my most quoted movies of my life. Just because like it's such a funny movie. Eddie Murphy in that movie as Mushu is one of the best things ever. Like whenever I'm talking to my little brother and he says something crazy, I'm like, excuse me? I think the question is, who are you? It's a moment. There's so many moments from Mulan that I can just like take and put it into any kind of meme context. Like it's such a good movie. But yeah, in essence, she does get with a man that is perfect for her, that respects her for her, and not just because she's like pale as the moon and eyes that shine like stars, or she could cook well. Like, we don't know if she could cook well. We just know she's Mulan with a good brain, you know. But yeah, most
Okay.
memed movie by my family. uh, After that, I believe I don't know what's after that, but Tiana, I agree. It's just like I like me and my daddy. He was working hard for this dream of a restaurant, and I was going to help him cook at the restaurant. I think that's so sweet. I love
Oh,
that
there's nothing
one.
wrong with it for sure.
Yeah, I
But
love
yeah, no,
that.
perhaps, yeah, no, perhaps no, because I was looking at it like, especially like the old school ones where they had their kind of betrothed, and the whole thing about getting married, and there was a lot of things about finding this like one true love, and this Prince Charming, and I guess I was kind of thinking more along that, but then yeah, maybe don't quite realize the kind of the details of it where they're not strictly speaking just following what their parents set out for them. There's maybe a bit more nuance where that I might have, well, clearly missed. But all right, cool. No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
because
enough.
like that's the sad part. Everyone, when they hear Disney princess, they automatically think like true love's first kiss kind of thing. And I'm like, but you forgot the rest of the story. That's like 5%. That's not it. Like, it really isn't the whole premise of the Little Mermaid. Disney added that into there, that she needed to kiss him to. Well, no, that's not true. But like, the whole start of the Little Mermaid was because she wanted to just be like a human. It wasn't
Mm.
because she felt like she wanted to be with the human from the get go. No, she was always fascinated by human stuff. And then she saves one, and then she's like, "Wow, he's perfect." Like, what happens if she saved five? She's gonna have like an orgy. Like, what do you do then? Like,
Little
become an
Mermaid ain't so little
octopus?
no more.
I'm just saying, like, if she had like waited a little bit more and she saved more people, would she have actually fallen in love with this guy, or was she just fascinated with human stuff? Like, um, it wasn't like this whole idea of one kiss true love. Same with Beauty and the Beast. She didn't love him until she realized if he died, she was really sad. And that's really sad.
Beauty
So
and the
like, all
Beast was
these
kind of
girls thinking like having someone to love is such a bad thing. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with having someone that you care about so much, and if they were to die in front of you, like, you would understand that powerful like kind of love situation. And I think Frozen reflected that in a different sense, as opposed to like a heterosexual way, but in a familial
yeah,
piety way.
yeah, yeah. No, for sure, I could see that. But with Beauty and the Beast, that was kind of a weird one because like he kidnapped her dad and
You
then
should not say it like that, because that's not
no,
true.
he didn't. No, well, maybe not kidnapped in the traditional sense. He didn't go out of his way to get, but he held
Exactly.
him against his will. He held her dad against his will, and then traded. Well, she offered to trade. To be fair, like, I'll trade me if you let him go. So it's like, all right. So and then you basically just fell in love with the guy that took her away from her family, and it's kind of like you fell in love with somebody who, like, forget the fact that he's a beast. That's like, by the by, looks or whatever. I ain't trying to say that, but it's more like this guy did not present himself in a good way when you met, and barely did anything to. I mean, later on, he was all like, "Oh, yeah, would you like to do that?" All kind of bumbling like a little bitch or whatever. But it's like, at that point, surely it's too little, too late, because like he hadn't really done anything to like redeem himself. He just kind of like started apologizing for stuff that he hadn't actually done, or it wasn't even apologizing. He was just like just bumbling his words and acting like a little pansy or whatever. And it's like, dude, like, first of all, you kidnapped her dad, you know?
No, he didn't kidnap his dad. First off, their dad was trespassing. Secondly, he tried stealing from the beast. No, that's not true. Okay, so there's a lot of context, because I actually watched the messed up origins of Beauty and the Beast. So in the Disney animated movie, he trespasses, and he tells him that he's not welcome, and he was so shocked that he needed a place to stay, and then he couldn't stop staring at the beast because he's never seen something like that. You would, I don't know if
Right.
you could break your stare at something so I don't want to call it quirky, but like estranged, like just this big towering hairy figure. And so he's like, I just needed a place to stay that's warm so I can get back to the village. And so he's like, I'll give you a place to stay. And then he just held him as a prisoner, like in the tower where it's cold and he's like freezing. So it's just kind of like, yeah,
Yeah, too wrong. Okay,
he
granted, no, you're
like,
right. He did trespass a bit, but the trespass was accidental. Like I say, he was just looking for somewhere to get. I think he was trying to get out of the rain or something like that, or
right.
he was looking for a place to stay. And the moment he said, "Look, you're not welcome here," and I think didn't he try to leave? Like the dad did try to leave. I think he did offer to like, "Oh, I'll go," and then he wouldn't
Um,
let him. I'm sure. Didn't
in
that
so
happen?
many words, he did say, he said, I was just looking for someplace warm. And I think he was on his way to say, like, I'll leave, but he didn't get it out because,
Okay.
being that, I think he's just like, it's really hard to fight bewilderment and fear when it's like towering over you and you're in an enchanted castle with like talking
Hmm.
objects and everyone else has been so friendly, and then all of a sudden you get this like monstrosity in your face. So I think he's, well, like, I wouldn't say he's kidnapped, but because of the choice of words and things that happened, it did lead him to his imprisonment.
Yeah. I mean, the beast is still a bitch. The beast is a bitch. His daddy's a bitch. His
They're
mama's a
dead.
bitch.
They're dead. What do you expect? They're dead.
Yeah.
That's why he's a little
Still.
bitch.
Yeah.
He didn't learn any manners. He's got
They're dead
servants. You're gonna
bitches.
have servants tell you what the fuck to do. You're gonna serve them how to get the fuck out and probably behead them. It's France.
Actually, to be fair though, in defense of the beast, like because he was this vain prince before, right? That was so obsessed with
Right.
beauty, so he wasn't really a nice guy to begin with. But even still, like the woman that transformed into the beast, it's like she presents herself as this old hag or whatever, and he wouldn't put her up. He's like, oh, I'll teach you a lesson. It's like, okay, look, I get that it's not nice when somebody turns you away, you're looking for some help or whatever, but it's like that seems a bit much. You know what I mean? I'm gonna
Mhm.
put a spell on you for was it until the last petal falls. You need to find someone to love you as a beast. And it's like over that one encounter, like, dude. I mean, granted, he's not a good person, but you don't know that. You just met him that one time. You know what I mean? Oh, if you could have cast a spell on somebody over one encounter, over one negative
So,
encounter, okay, fair, but make the spell appropriate to the situation. you know,
yeah.
that spell
So
was a
the
bit
actual
much.
story with Beauty and the Beast comes from like this huge, huge, crazy background. So I watched the messed up origins of Beauty and the Beast. It was actually like even crazier in a sense, like this fairy just did not like the prince because it's like his nephew, and she's like, I want to marry my nephew, and he's like, no, you're old. And
What, she
she
wants to
cast,
marry her own nephew?
yeah, it's a fairy tale, like
Oh
it
well,
was,
yeah, different times, I guess. Well,
yeah, different times, different things, but basically
no wonder they
this
changed that
old
bit.
ass nasty ass hag, like this nasty ass like fairy hag was like, you know, he's a fine looking piece of meat. I'm gonna marry him. And his mom, who is her niece, making him her like second nephew or something. She's like, you will not marry my son, and he's not gonna have that. She's like, all right, well, he's not gonna be handsome, and he can only marry this kind of person. This stipulation. So Disney had to try to rewrite that part of the story into
Yeah,
something
no
that's a
wonder.
little bit more swallowable.
Yeah, less incestuous.
Instead of like my aunt trying to marry my son, like no,
They
it
took
gets
out the
more messed
incest
up.
and added
But
a
yeah,
bestiality.
yeah. So it's like, well, they kept the beast part because it's supposed to be Beauty and the Beast, anyways. But it was partially because he was like so beautiful. So they did keep the topic or I guess the theme of beauty being his problem. And then I guess they just had to do it this way. That's the way that they told it. But his messed up origins are so messed up. And I was like, wow, I'm glad I didn't know that one. That's okay. Yeah, my aunt wanted to marry me, and my mom said no. I don't want to marry her either because she's old and ugly. So
I mean, that's
like,
fair
wow.
though. Like it was like, why would you want to marry your aunt?
Like that's strike
just
one.
fair.
And strike number
I
two, this
really,
woman was like 115 like fairy years, so she's old.
oof.
Versus
But
his like nice, promising 18-year-old, like, yeah, I'm a jock. Like,
yeah, you can't keep up. Like,
yeah, so that's the interesting thing about Beauty and the Beast. So yes, you're right with the Disney adaptation. It doesn't. They could have done that a little bit more, like not so hard, but it's just kind of like, well, there you go.
but that is the thing about fairy tales. Their origins. Like I remember reading or seeing somewhere that a lot of the origins for these fairy tales go back to these messed up roots from 500-600 years ago or whatever it was, maybe even more, maybe 1,000 years ago. Some of them that they just tales have been passed down from various generations where times were very different, and then of course eventually Disney adapts it into an animated movie. But yeah, like a lot of these have messed up origins. Like I think like with Snow at the Seven Dwarfs, like originally they weren't actual dwarfs or something. Like I'm gonna have to look up and be sure, but yeah, it's a madness. Like, and even with Sleeping Beauty, like in the Disney one, it's about he has to kiss her to awaken her, but apparently in the original story, it's a little bit more than kissing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh
they
yeah,
do.
someone
It's a
calls
little
that
bit
with
more than
kids,
just kissing.
and then it's pretty bad.
So yeah, it's it's understandable that certain things got changed, especially if you're making a kids movie, because these were, well, back then there were children's stories. They're just like I was saying before, like the children of now are different from the children of the 90s and different from the children of the 1930s, and of
Absolutely.
course different to the children of the Middle Ages, right? So the sensibilities of a child in the year 900 AD or whatever is massively different to the sensibilities of a child in 2024, because it's just such different life experiences. And so what you look at as, oh, he had to awaken this princess by raping her while she was sleeping. Sure, that sounds fine.
She didn't wake up like that. She was
I
still
mean,
asleep, and she gave birth to twins, by the way.
was that a story?
Yeah, that's part of
Oh, wait,
Sleeping
okay.
Beauty's story.
She was asleep and gave birth to twins. What?
Hmm.
Wow. Okay, that's even more messed up
Yeah,
than I
and
thought.
then later when she actually wakes up and she has the twins, the king takes her back to the palace, hides her in the palace. The current queen was like, I fucking hate this woman. I'm going to kill you and burn you at the stake. And the king was sent on like a quest so she could kill him or kill Sleeping Beauty and her kids. And eventually the king comes back because Sleeping Beauty took her time taking off her clothes. He came back from the errand and it's like, what the fuck's going on here? Explain yourself. She's like, oh, I'm killing your mistress. And he's like, well, I guess I'm going to kill you instead because I'm the king. So he kills his current queen to have Sleeping Beauty become queen.
That sounds like Henry VIII.
I really don't know. And
That
I
sounds
know
like,
that modern, like, real history is messed up as well, like Anne Boleyn. So, like,
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to know that history. I don't need to know that kind of history. That's for the
All
history
right.
buffs. If I want to
Skip.
watch that, I'll watch it. I want my fairy tale shit, okay?
I guess we now know who inspired Henry VIII. Then I guess we.
Yeah,
Or
like
I
at
don't know.
the
Maybe
end
that
of
is
Snow White, I believe,
or whichever came first. I don't know. Actually, I suppose.
I don't know. The end of Snow White, I think it was the evil queen, and I think her lover or something. There's someone else that was supposed to dance with her. They had red hot iron shoes, like so they heated it up in a furnace, and she made her wear it, and she had to dance until she died while wearing their shoes.
Oof. Actually, I think I knew that one. I think I
Yeah,
knew that one. That sounds like what I've seen somewhere. All right, what
yeah,
would you
because
say is the most messed up origin story of a fairy tale origin story, or a Disney princess, or just I guess maybe any messed up fairy origin story.
I don't think Disney did it yet, but there's something about like glass coffins. And I think they
Okay.
subtly had that one for Snow White because she was put in a glass coffin. You know what I mean? So people could see her. I
Okay. Yeah.
watched
Yeah.
this on A Bit Frank, and I love her. She has really cool drawings and stuff. But apparently, there was supposed to be it kind of meshes with Snow White. Um, Glass coffins were supposed to like preserve the body and preserve magic and make sure that you don't die or something. And it's just like I don't know why I think that one's like the most messed up one, but that's the one that comes to mind because it's like, ooh, you don't want to see someone deteriorating and stuff like that. But but I remember there was like an evil queen that was like, oh well, I don't like this person. We're gonna kill them, and then we're gonna put them in glass coffins, like 7 glass coffins. And turns out they were like never dead. They were just like what is it? What anaphylactic shock? Is that when you're like you're allergic to something and then you just go into shock, but you're still
That
alive? You're not dead.
sounds like it could be it, but
Is that
I'm
right?
not
I'm
really
like
sure.
purplegic? No.
Let me say anaphylactic shock. I don't have to spell it, so I'm just gonna type in a bunch of words to see what comes up.
Okay.
Oh, we got anaphylactic shock. Okay. Um, Anaphylaxis causes the immune system to release a flood of chemicals that can cause you to go into shock. Yeah, blood pressure drops suddenly, and the
Yeah.
airways narrow, blocking breathing. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's that. Um. So it was just something really bewildering to me because I didn't realize how important glass coffins were, and they play into different stories. How like important it was, and like Disney hasn't used that since Snow White, which is interesting in its own way because like there are so many different kinds of fairy tales that use it that they haven't changed it into, and or like how glass itself is like a very important material. But I think that's what it's called, like the glass coffin. I don't know. Let me see.
Yeah, no, there is a fairy tale about a glass coffin. It says one
Oh
night
yeah,
traveler
I guess
stays the
it's just
nights
the
and use
Snow White
magic to
one.
get her in.
I guess it's just the Snow White one then.
Yeah. Uh,
That probably played the most like interesting one to me because then that got me into like the whole rabbit hole of like the messed up origins. Like Beauty and the Beast messed up origins because it is one of the more recent ones that I watched. That one's messed up. That gets really crazy because like um Belle is supposed to be his cousin, and she's a special kind of cousin because she's a princess from a king, but her mother is a fairy. So she's part fairy and part human princess. And then somehow she fits the requirements of the beast fairy prince, whose aunt was all like, oh, yeah, I want to marry you. I'm a 418-year-old hag. I'm going to marry this hot little piece of turd. And then, like, no, that didn't work. So somehow having this weird form of like family, like love, breaks
yeah.
both of their spells or something because like apparently also Belle was under a spell, and then like fairy council actually threw Belle's mother into prison for 100 years, so she grew up with just her dad. So Disney reflected that pretty interestingly. So
Yeah.
it's a really messed up story, but I don't think like Mulan doesn't have a messed up origin. Like Little Mermaid, I don't
Wasn't
think it's a
Mulan
messed up.
based on a true story? Am I thinking of something else?
It's based off of a true poem. It's not a
Oh,
true
okay.
story, it's a poem. Which I had to do like a whole like analytical paper in university on it. So it's nice. Also, the live action Mulan, if it was not named Mulan, probably would have done better.
Yeah, I think there was some control. I mean, I don't know much about it, so I very rarely look into these things. Maybe I should. I don't know, but I do remember
That's
hearing
not
about
you.
some controversy about Mulan and movie. Um, I mean, do you know much about that, or is that like is the whole nonsense thing?
No. So, what was it? There was like riots happening in China, and that was something that was really bad. Because like I remember it, but it was also released during the pandemic. But there was also yeah. So there's persecution in China, and then the Xinjiang internment camps. So there was a lot of people like saying, "Oh yeah, like these people at internment camps, like are having these hard things," and then any of the Chinese actors or production that mentioned it in China was actually getting slandered if you said any stance on it. That caused it to
Okay,
have a
yeah.
problem. On top of that,
Okay,
they
yeah,
really
yeah,
changed the story. Like they had the same elements, which is okay, but when you have source material, it's like the comic book problem. You have the comic books, you have things to go off of, you have the creators still alive. With the Ballad of Mulan being a poem, you don't have them, but you have the the outline. You have that. Then you have the
yeah,
animated movie, which took its own liberties. But then you have this new movie created by Caucasian people. Not anyone on that team was Asian or of Chinese descent. And they're just like, we're going to Hollywood the shit out of this. And we're just going to, I don't want to say make a mockery of the Ballad of Mulan or the animated movie, but we're going to put our artistic take on it. And
mm,
as a artistic person who enjoys entertainment, it's not a bad movie. It's not bad. But if you're trying to compare it to the 1990s animated film, it is not good. Like I will watch the animated film any day. There's Eddie Murphy. We got some like hot army action with Shang taking his shirt off, and then like the three goofy like sidekick characters are actually humans. You get two sidekick characters that are also non-human. You get to actually like a horse with personality, and then you have your main heroine. It was just all around a really well-rounded movie. And then they took out so many elements of that movie that made it so good and put it into the live action. And then you just like left with this skeleton hollow thing that barely follows the source material, which is the poem. You have this expectation from the 90s movie, and then you took out a lot of things, and then you're also fighting the pandemic with the treatment of the camps. So it was really, really just a bad bad thing to be calling it Mulan. Like
mm,
they could have named it like the heroine who saves China. Or you could have been like the girl from the village. You could have named it something else and not Mulan, and I think it would have done better. Because when you slap a title like Mulan, the only Disney princess that is not a princess, even at the end of the movie, she doesn't get married. She's just a soldier who comes home from war. She doesn't get married. She doesn't technically have a boyfriend either. So it's just kind of like this like weird situation of what do you do because you're remaking this, and they did take away some elements, but it is an entertaining movie.
mm,
But it hit hard on so many fronts, like full stop. Like this is not good. This is not good. This is not good.
mm.
But it's entertaining. I don't think it's a bad movie. C grade most, B minus. But like it's not. It does not measure up to what it could have been.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, from sounds like they just had everything going against them. Maybe if it was made at a different time, or like you say, had a different name, or maybe. But
Yeah,
oh well, oh well.
because like it's really sad that actually the LGBTQ plus community was so excited for Shang and Mulan's kind of like romance. So that's the captain and Mulan, because he's actually a very prominent figure. I didn't know this until like I was reading reviews, and why they were upset. I say they as a collective. I won't say everyone, but the community was upset because he's kind of the first bisexual character in Disney history.
Okay.
Shang.
I mean, but is that set? Because I mean, I feel like I might be treading on grounds I'm not too familiar with. But if my understanding is that he didn't fancy Mulan when he thought it when he thought Mulan was a boy, right? It's only
That's the
afterwards he
thing.
started liking her, right?
No, 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 no. That's not true. Because she, like, no one knew Mulan wasn't a girl. When she got there, everyone, like, that's a male only location.
Yeah,
So she is in hot water. She is swimming in piranha waters. So Shang knew that he, or Ping, or Mulan Ping, is a boy. So when she was able to be the one to climb up to the pole first, he's like, okay, this warrior is starting to show promise. Okay, this warrior is kicking my ass now. Like he's really kind of cool. And then like later she says, I'll hold him, you punch. And then she compliments him. And then he stops and looks back. That's like one of those things of like, okay, this guy's like really trying to make a connection with me. And it's showing like, okay, maybe I'm starting to really take an interest in you. So I would say that I don't want to say like he's not, he is bisexual, but he's starting to become bi-curious at that point. And so when Mulan saves him during the avalanche scene and saves him, and he's like, you're the craziest person I've ever met, but you saved me. So then he realizes at that point, like, Ping really cares for her captain, not just as like my commanding officer, but if you're dead, I don't think I can live without you kind of situation. And he's like,
hmm
I'd be dead without you. So that also is a survivor complex of this person saved me. I think I might have growing feelings for you as well. See what I'm
okay,
saying? It
okay.
gets really deep and psychological.
Yeah, no, I guess I could see that. I could see that. I mean, well, I guess I wouldn't have spotted it, but
I
yeah,
didn't really think
but
about it
again, I could see that. I could see
until the
that.
live
Like,
action came out, and then people were upset that the
yeah,
bisexual character wasn't in there. I was like, "What do you mean bisexual?" And then I fell into that rabbit hole. I was like, "I get it, I get it,"
yeah,
and it makes me sad for you guys too, because like not only is he an attractive guy, but that is representation that they took out that they could have
yeah.
potentially had.
There is now one that I know of anyway. I don't know how many in total, but there is at least one that I know of in terms of LGBTQIA
I just say
plus
plus because there's
representation.
I feel
Um,
bad. I don't know all of it.
yeah. And
I'm sorry.
so
Feel
far,
free to grill me in the comments.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. Like
um,
I'm an ally. Trust me. Like I don't suppress people.
I'm blanking on what the film's called now, but I watched it, I think, last year or the year before
Was it Lightyear?
when it came out. But there is an openly gay Disney character. Um, I forgot the name
Oh!
now.
You're talking about the Searcher movie. The
Yeah, with like
yeah, the
the
father
guy
the son duo.
and they
I know
go
what you're
like
talking about.
exploring.
What?
Um, they
It's an
explore
animated
caves
one.
or something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Uh,
Man, I'm totally blanking on the name of the movie now, but I think it came out last year, maybe the year before.
yeah, hold on.
Oh wait, you
I
know
know
what?
exactly. Strange World, and it's the
That's it.
son.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember
the one.
watching
Yeah,
it. Yeah, I gave that one a chance because I was like, "What is this? I want to know." And it was like the legit, like first homosexual kind of like I like a guy, I really like him situation. Do I have a problem with that? No, it doesn't. It doesn't impact the story. It's just like, look, this guy likes this guy. Who cares? Like, let's see what the story progresses into. It's Searcher Clade and his son's name. Yeah, it came out in
Jake
2002.
Gyllenhaal, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Ethan.
Yeah.
Ethan Clade.
Oh wait, you spoke there's okay. Yeah. That.
Yeah, because it's Searcher
um.
Clade, Jaeger Clade, and then Ethan Clade.
Yeah. also just remember there's a character in Lightyear who is
Hmm.
openly gay as well. So
Right.
I mean, I don't want to say like, yeah, you got what you wanted now, because I mean that's only two that I can think of at the moment. But I guess that's
There's a good
also these
scene.
things as well about how times change, and you were talking about representation a moment ago as well, and companies are looking more and more into these sorts of things in terms of, because it's not like gay people are new, you know what I mean? Like they've been around a while. It's just they haven't
Yeah.
always been represented much in TV shows, movies, and so on.
Right.
So in recent years, and not to say these are the first time we've ever seen gay. I don't mean that, of course not. But there's plenty of gay people in TV and movies from years ago. But I feel like in recent years there has been maybe more of a conscious focus on, we're going to have characters
Inclusion.
of, yeah, representing different, whether it's a orientation. No, I'm sorry, it's not I messed
It
it
is
up.
orientation, like sexual orientation.
Yeah, because it's no. Somebody told me this, that you, it's not orientation because that implies it's a choice. It's another word, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the word.
Okay. Well, I
But
say orientation.
yeah,
Like
I've been saying that for
I
years too.
wouldn't say sexual identity, but like
But
that's
somebody told
different.
me this a while back, and I've forgotten. But I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be purposefully rude,
Okay. Well, I always thought it
but
was just
yeah,
orientation.
it's
I'm willing to
yeah.
learn. Like, if you want to educate me in the comments down below, it's this word, you ignorant fuck. Okay, thank you. I am ignorant. And if you want to correct me on that, feel free to do that. I have no problems with admitting my faults, but I just use like sexual orientation. Because,
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
what else would it be? I don't
I'm
know.
I'm I'm from that generation that took offense to so little things that by now it's kind of like I just don't even think about it unless it's pointed out to me. So it's not,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be. I mean, I respect that people have different. Again, we'll talk about, different sensibilities change. The children of the 80s and 90s different to the children of now, different to the children of the 1930s. So on. Sensibilities change, and so to my mind, none of these things are offensive. It's just how you talk. But I get it that
Right.
some people do find these things offensive. So I'm not trying to purposely be rude. I'm generally just forgot. but
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with a cross-dressing rabbit kissing a Caucasian man trying to shoot him. So
oh
Bugs Bunny,
who framed Robert? Oh no, it's okay. Oh wait, yeah, Bugs, but yeah, okay. And I was thinking of Roger Rabbit. Never mind. He wasn't
That's
cross-dressing, though, was
totally
he?
not the same rabbit.
Yeah, it was a different rabbit. And I don't think he was a
He
cross-dresser.
didn't
He did.
cross-dress.
He did kiss Bob Hoskins a lot, though. So he
That
was
is
maybe a little
correct.
bit bi-curious himself. Maybe just a little
Yes.
bit.
I mean, Bob Hoskins also kissed Roger. So, it
True,
went both
true,
ways,
true.
but that doesn't mean it was romantic.
Yeah. Well, not all kisses are romantic. This is true. Sometimes it's platonic.
Mhm.
Um,
Sometimes it's
but
just
other
for
times
the
it's
comedic appeal, A lot of
it's just
people
what you
just
say to hide the truth.
Yeah, I think sometimes a lot of people just put too much emphasis on something that doesn't have meaning. So that's why I'm
No,
just
for
like,
sure,
it's there and it's
for
not
sure.
supposed to have meaning, so be it.
But yeah, I do think it's a good thing that these things are being thought about in terms of representation. I mean, I do feel like when it comes to that, my feeling has always been like representation is something that's as important as it is unimportant, in a sense that, somebody's always going to have to be the first somewhere, right? Somebody's going to have to be the first. And if they're not doing it, either somebody else does it or you can do it yourself. But somebody has to be the first, right? Um, and the idea of relying on other people to represent you has never really sat well with me, because I always feel like nobody else can represent you anyway. Because as much as we are in groups, we're also individuals, and we have our own stories, and a story that applies to one person of a particular group might not apply to another person of that same group. So there's always going to be multiple stories you can tell within all these things anyway, and you're never going to have one story that can represent every single person in of any group or demographic. So like, as much as I think it's important to be conscious and of, okay, we can't just tell this one group story all the time. We can include different people, and and have that as a thing without it being a thing, which I think was what Disney seems to be trying to do, have it as a thing without being a thing, without having so much emphasis on the fact that somebody is gay or somebody is whatever, right? Just it's just there, and that's fine. But even then, that's not going to represent every single person. So ultimately, I do feel like, representation is important, because it's cool to see things that you can relate to, whether it's by ethnicity or gender or oriented or that.
Let's just say identity.
Identity, yeah, we go with that. We go with identity,
And experience.
or anything else. It's cool to see that represented and be able to relate to something and be like, oh wow, that represents a part of me, cool. But it's never going to represent all of you. And ultimately, like, it's down to you to tell your own story, whether through movies, through music, through books, or through just living your life the best way you can. Like, only you can tell your story and only you can represent you. So yeah, representation, I think it's cool, it's important, but it's also unimportant in the sense that somebody has to be the first, and nobody's going to represent you better than you can represent yourself. But I do think it's a cool thing that they're doing, because like, I think you get to a point, or ideally, I mean, we'll wait and see how things go, but ideally you get to a point where you're not thinking about it in that way, where here's like back in the day it was like the black best friend, right? And it was that thing, like, especially like in rom-coms or whatever, it was like, the black best friend or a token black guy. It was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where you're not even thinking about it. It's just like, whatever. It's just people exist in this world,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how art being a representation of life just anyway, it's going to reflect that in some way. People of all kinds of shapes and sizes and whatever exist in this world. And if you're only seeing one specific type of person in the movie, there's eventually just gets to a point where it's like,
Yeah.
like,
About that.
but hey.
But I think the problem that we do face, though, is that now they're trying to be so inclusive versus when they weren't trying to be inclusive. So one of the underdogs, I would say, of Disney is Lilo and Stitch. They focused on a Hawaiian setting, right? Nani was an older sister. Their parents died, and she's working, I think, 2 jobs just to support her and her little sister. And Lilo and Stitch, it's like, you're in the friggin' Hawaii. Like, this is a completely demographic. They're like, yeah, okay, they have like the token white girl that Lilo beats up. And then Lilo's got her little situation, but their social security worker or their government worker is like this really hardcore black guy. And it's like, yeah, my nickname is Bubbles. But like, it wasn't that. They just made a story and this was their setting. They didn't have to focus so much on being like inclusive, which is kind of crazy in the sense of like, why didn't we have that anymore? Another situation that we had was Atlantis, the Lost City. That one had, yes, a white lead, Caucasian lead with Milo Thatch, but on the same note, the rest of the cast was very colorful in the sense of like, you had this female mechanic who was like Latina and her sister was like a pro boxer. You had this like Russian guy who was like a demolitions expert, probably Ukrainian, that was like into like dirt and digging. Like, you had such a colorful array of characters, and they weren't really like pushing that agenda of like inclusivity. But the worst part is those movies did not sell. Like, they didn't do good. But for us that grew up with them, they are classics. And we're like, yeah, we want that. We want to see that. And then when you get to the actual princess, bitch, she's like this Atlantean princess. You can make that whatever you want. You could have made her had gray skin. You made her like, they made her a dark skinned princess with white hair and blue eyes. Like, she was so beautiful. She's so beautiful to me. Like, she's amazing. And the crazy part is that's Cree Summer. That chick also voiced like all these other characters.
Cree
And I'm just
Summer,
like,
yeah.
I'm just like, you made a Disney princess out of Cree Summer? Are you kidding me? Number 5 from Kids Next Door, freaking Foxy Love from Drawn Together. Like, who is that? Who is that chick from Rugrats? I'm just like, oh my god! I was so shocked. I love her. I think she's a great actress. But what I'm saying is, we had a lot of inclusivity without them knowing it, but it failed at the box office. So now that they're trying to push it on top of it, it's starting to fail yet again because except Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch did amazing. That's why they spanned like a second movie and a third movie and a TV series. Lilo and Stitch also had its own ride at Disneyland, Florida. Disney World. So anyways, to this day, Stitch is still a very popular character. Despite that, I do think inclusivity matters, but I think it matters more about the story that you're trying to tell. And if your story sucks, like no one fucking wants to watch that shit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you put like a character in there of like, let's just say like Mumbai descent with someone from the Maldives. If your story is about like the world being a flat Earth, no one's gonna like that. It's gonna tank, okay? So I think at the end of the day, it's not about it. It can have inclusivity, but have a good story.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, that's an important point. Like above all, the story needs to hold up. I mean, if you in a sense of a movie, like you first and foremost, you need to be telling a great story. Your story doesn't have to be realistic. It doesn't have to be funny. It doesn't. It can be these things, of course, but it doesn't have to be. It does. Bottom line though has to be interesting, like right. whatever story you kind of tell, it needs to be interesting, it needs to be engaging, it needs to be, like I said, it doesn't just have to be realistic, but it does have to be somewhat believable in a sense that we people talk a lot about being drawn into a movie, right? And part of the way you're drawn into a movie is if you can kind of buy into that world that they've created. And if you're doing things that are just forced and don't really have a purpose there, then it becomes more difficult to buy into, Right. So you can't just force a bunch of people into a story and say this is a thing with zero context as to why it's there and be like, yeah, just accept it. It's like, no,
that's the really hard part of like selling Game of Thrones. You just have to accept it.
Just accept it. Accept it. This is it now. Just accept it.
Yeah. You have to, no choice. And then, sometimes it becomes an acquired taste versus like you in Encanto versus me in Encanto. It became an acquired taste for me watching Encanto because the first time I watched it, I hated it. But when you watched Encanto, you loved it. So it's interesting in those two essences. But the storytelling is, C+ to B- for me. In a sense of like, but who's the villain? Like, you need to have like a conflict or a problem. Like, is the conflict really Abuela? Is it the violence that made Pedro die? Like, is it something else? Like, I actually watched a theory that it's actually Dolores. Dolores is the main villain behind Encanto. I was like,
Dolores.
The sound you're hearing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah. And it's just like, I think if there was more of a clear-cut villain in Encanto, it would have resonated more with me. It's still a great story. I still love it. I like rewatching it. It's got great.
You need a clear bad bitch in there. Huh? You need someone to be that. You need somebody to be the clear, undisputed bad bitch of the movie.
Yeah, like, okay, for example, look at the new Super Mario's movie. Why did it do so good in the box office, right?
It's Mario.
Okay, like, that aside. We have a clear hero or hero team, like, we have a clear hero team and a clear villain. And because we can expect, like, the hero team to crush the villain, we can root for it more, despite already having that expectation. Because if you get it, it's hero versus bad guy kind of thing, and it's just easier and simple to digest. You don't have to really like play mind games, and that's great for like simple movies. And sometimes you don't really want to have something where you have to digest it constantly, and then think on it and then really dive into like the deep depth of it. It's like, yeah, I want a different story, but easy to digest. And I think a lot of writers are missing that kind of context, especially with current, like some newer movies, which is, kind of makes me sad. Like Turning Red is another one of those.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah. I
definitely
saw that.
not a Disney princess movie, but what are you looking up?
I was looking up a Super Mario Brothers movie.
It did
Oh,
really
it's on
well.
Amazon. It's on Amazon
Yeah,
Prime, actually.
it's
I didn't
also on
realize that.
Netflix.
Okay.
It's on Netflix.
Okay, because I haven't actually seen it, but yeah, okay,
What?
it's on. Okay, yeah,
How dare you?
it's on
End
Amazon.
this podcast right now. Okay, go watch it.
But wait. It's
Disappointed in you.
no, I think it's a trailer. It's only 1 minute long. It says, but you said it's on Netflix. Okay, let me check
It's
Netflix
on
real quick.
Netflix. I watched it. I watched it like 4 times. It's so good. It's so good. The one problem I have is Chris Pratt as Mario.
Wait, which
Like, it
country
doesn't
Netflix
tell
is that?
me
Because I don't have that in
nothing.
mind. Oh, is that Danish Netflix?
Probably.
I might have to get my VPN. It's not on the British Netflix.
Okay, well, it's on Danish Netflix. I know that much.
Damn it! All right,
But
cool. Let me
anyways,
go
what
get
I'm
my
saying,
VPN.
okay,
Sorry.
when you watch it, I'm ready to discuss all of that. But
Cool.
I'm just saying, if Encanto had a clear-cut villain, I'd be happy because it was not Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno was. Yeah, no, I think to be fair, the way they kind of talk about Bruno in the beginning before they introduce the character, it sounds like he did something really, really bad.
Mhm.
Like I'm thinking like, abuse kind of bad. That's
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
thinking. The way they were kind of talking about him, like that, something along those lines. Maybe not that specifically, but just something like bad like that.
like he
But then
got
it just turned,
excommunicated by the village, kind of bad.
yeah. And then it turns out he was just giving people their predicted futures, and they didn't like what he said. And like,
Yeah, isn't that sad?
oh, dude, come on, that's not his fault,
But the other part too, like at the end of Encanto, he's just like, I could tell you were nervous. I wanted you to not be nervous. And because of how he presents his powers, people always misread them or misunderstood them. Even himself, he misunderstood his own power. And that's the other side of the gift. Like, not everyone actually knows how to control their gifts or reads them properly. And that was a clear
Mm.
case for him. It wasn't as clear cut as like Dolores. Dolores, like, I can hear shit. Like, that's what I do. That's gotta suck because can you turn that off? I don't know. Do you hear every teenager like talking bad about their parents behind their back? Do you hear every baby crying? Like, it's not like Luisa. Luisa can't turn off being strong. So it's like, did you rip open a door on accident today? Like, did you have to fix it? It's interesting in those senses of like, how do you use your gift? And his
Mm.
gift didn't really, he says his gift didn't help. But the problem is, he didn't have a way to communicate his gift in a positive light either,
Mm.
or see the full truth. Because what he said too was that when he was giving Mirabelle her reading, he's like, it's all messed up. So he was seeing her future in broken pieces. So it's like it went forward 2 days and then back 1 day and then forward like 4 days or something. It wasn't the proper timeline. So you don't actually know if that is actually what's going to happen or if that's like in the near future or is this the possible future. Because as you know, it shows her breaking the house. It also shows
Yeah.
her finding a butterfly. It also shows her hugging someone and the flame gets brighter. But those were not in the order of the way the movie progressed. And he didn't know that.
Yeah.
So how
No,
can
for
you
sure.
actually read the future?
I mean, what was it like? Because they had that song about, we don't talk about Bruno, and part of it was, he said, I'll grow a gut and I'll get big, my
God.
fish would die, and things like this, and next day we're dead, but then he goes on to Isabel, and it's I will one day have the dream, the life of my dreams would be mine.
Mhm.
And I think it was
Her powers would
Dolores.
grow and thrive like that on a vine.
Yeah. And then Dolores was
Mhm.
like, she would meet the man of her dreams, but he'd be betrothed to another.
Mhm.
Um, and well, that's how that exactly turned out. Uh, I think what they did, what was really cool with Isabel's, that the assumption is she's going to get married and have this wonderful life with her husband, but the reality was that she was just going to realize her own inner strength a bit more, and that would create her own great life. So yeah, they really did Bruno Day. Like he, like
No, I have
they
something
really
to
did him
add to
day.
you, so I'm just waiting for you to. I don't want to interrupt, but yeah.
But yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. I'll pretty much finished. So
Are you sure?
yeah.
So, Isabella didn't actually break up with Mariano.
Oh,
So he was trying to propose to her, but the problem is the house started breaking and her powers went out of control. She never answered him, but her powers made a flower punch him in the nose. That doesn't mean she said no. That means her powers went out of control. As we saw Peppa, her anxiety spiked and she created the thunderclouds. And then the house started breaking. Louisa can't lift anything. Um, who's the shapeshifter head kid? Yeah, his shit
oh,
started going
yeah,
berserk.
the kid,
So
yeah, him.
Isabella is still at the end of the movie, still technically with Mariano. She didn't like. She's like yes because she's talking to Dolores. Like he's talking to Dolores. They're not. They're not engaged. They're not. They're not boyfriend girlfriend. But what I'm saying is we never actually saw a proper like rejection of like yeah we just saw him there he's like I just have so much love to give but did we actually see them break up and be like I'm sorry
Hmm.
I don't want to be with you all we see is this yes like yeah they're talking and so it's just like is but you're not under the technicality of like girl code you did not say we are breaking up I don't want to be with you so in my sad little Disney realm, technically Dolores still does not have her happy ending because Isabella never really properly rejected Mariano,
Uh
kind
huh.
of like Anna and Elsa. Like Anna rejected Hans clearly, but I don't. She's like no, and like she punches him. I don't think that's the same context. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So Dolores might jump the gun a little bit. She was a bit too eager to get with the man that she didn't
Because
maybe
like
check that. Wait a minute, you still with my cousin? Because what?
yeah.
She's.
Like
I
yeah,
guess
you're
she's technically the
talking to
side chick
him, and
then.
she's like she's
But
slowly slipping
actually,
in, like someone slipping into
actually,
his DMs.
she may still be having a life of her dreams though, because there are plenty of women out there that like being a side chick. You know,
I mean,
she could be one of
technically,
those
she's
women.
not. I don't know, because like
She
it's just
might
a
be
weird
one of those women that
context
likes
to
being a side
me if
chick.
you're looking at it. Like she didn't properly break up, but he didn't break up with her either. All we know is that anytime her powers are going like a little bit loose, it will hit him in the nose. But that doesn't mean, in my sense, like in my little fantasy land, punching someone in the nose is kind of like maybe it's just happening, like we don't know.
Hmm.
Kind of like Camilo's head shrinking, and becoming a baby. Like the house is fluctuating its magic powers. And then when she's doing what else can I do? She's just creating lots of flowers. Like it could have punched 60 people and they just
Hmm.
happened to show Mariano. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's not her breaking up with him. We don't know that for sure that they aren't together. And yes, it is somewhat of an arranged marriage that she went along with, but still technically under Abuela's household rule, she is engaged to Mariano. They haven't actually
Yeah.
or not engaged, but like together with Mariano.
Yeah.
They haven't
They've
separated.
been
See what I'm
placed
saying?
to be together. No,
Hmm.
no, 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 no. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I get that. But I think even still, like they yeah, they depend. I mean, it depends how you look at it. Because let's say like they are still together, right? Because I
Hmm.
mean, they've kind of implies that they're not, but let's assume that they are because we don't actually see them break up. So let's assume that they're still together. It could still mean that Bruno's prediction came true because what we do see is Isabella enjoying her life a lot more and being more friendly with Mirabelle, and they become a bit closer. We do see that towards the end, and we do see uh, Dolores and Mariano, but seemingly like they getting together, and they don't say much, but it shows that they seem to be happy. And also, she said in a song, he would be betrothed to another. Didn't say that he'll break up from his betrothed. So,
Exactly.
so yeah, it still pans out.
Yeah. It still pans out that she's like he is still betrothed to someone else. Like
Yeah.
it kind of sucks, but you know what? Like if that's how the village works, and you have like to produce magical babies with gifts, like there you go. Like sorry, Dolores, you weren't top pick.
Yeah. She
I'm just saying, like
I
there
mean,
it wasn't a proper like breakup kind of thing. Did
it'd be
someone
difficult.
die? No. Did
It'd be
they
difficult
say
though
no?
to
I'm
be
not gonna.
with. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm interrupting you. Sorry.
I'm just saying, if there was like a no rejection and like just flowers magically popping up, if flowers magically popped up and spelled no, I'm not marrying you, I will accept that. But that didn't happen. So in my
No, that's
head,
fair.
they're
That's
still
fair.
engaged, or they're still together.
Betrothed, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be
Although
difficult
I
though
know official
to
sources would be like they're not.
yeah, it'd be difficult to be with somebody who can hear like that, like who has Dolores's type of hearing, because like you'd have to be like on it like all day every day. Like you cannot whisper things out in the next room. Be like, oh damn it, you can't do that. She'd hear you.
Oh
You know
no.
what I mean? She'd hear you. So like you'd have to be with somebody that you just know this is like gonna work. Like this is we're not gonna have arguments. We're not gonna have problems. And let's keep it real. Like relationships generally don't go like that. So it's like even good relationships generally don't go like that. Like there's work, right? So like any kind of small argument they have, the fact that she can hear so well can turn into a much much worse a fight than it needs to be because he's
Yeah.
gonna have
And
no space to just vent. She'll hear
but
it.
here's the other part too. Like we saw that Isabella was only making flowers. But here's like what happens when their powers like level up, quote unquote. Like what if Dolores's level up is like mind reading? You see what I'm
Oof.
saying? She's like
Don't
kind of
bung
screwed. Because
that.
like Bruno's level up would be able to like actually predict the future in sequential order.
Yeah,
As
maybe
opposed
even
to like
control the future.
I don't know about that because right now he doesn't even have control of like the order of
Well,
it.
we're
So
talking about levels, right? That's like level
yeah,
3 or 4, maybe 5.
yeah, that's probably level 10 for him. That guy can't hold it back. And then like Antonio, yeah, he's got the animals thing, but what if he like shapeshifts? So I'm just saying, if Dolores's level up is like, if her current thing is like hearing, it's got to be something like cranial. So I'm just like, that would be not great to be with that woman. Not
Mm,
saying like she can't be a great person, but to be able to hear anything and be like, yeah, you're like 500 kilometers away from me right now. And it's like,
yeah,
that's terrifying to know she can hone in on your footsteps and know how far you are
yeah,
away and like really just pinpoint track you if she was like neurotic like that.
yeah. She could be like, you
But
said you're coming home, but you took 2 steps further away.
yeah.
Like, Can't do nothing. All
But that's that.
right. Well. Um, I think we've covered quite a lot. But do you think that is there anything else? I mean, I guess there's quite a few we haven't mentioned. We haven't really talked about like Brave or
Oh,
Tangled or
oh,
Elemental, or Elemental technically isn't
that's not
Disney
a princess
princess.
movie.
Yeah,
I like that movie, but it's not a princess movie. Like,
yeah.
I
Had
think
a weak
Tangled
ending
did
though.
so well. Like, to really hit that topic really quickly, Tangled did so well because there's a lot of people in the world that feel like they haven't experienced enough. And then they see themselves in Rapunzel in this, like, I'm a really happy person living in my bubble. But as soon as I leave my bubble, what do I do? Kind of like if you've never left the UK kind of situation, or if you've
Mm,
never left the city that you were born in situation. Like you're just being fed what you're given. So if someone's like, "Oh, New York is great," and then you go to New York and then you smell it and then you don't like it and the pizza's like really good, but you're like, "It was this really worth traveling to New York to get this experience." Or like if you go to like Florida or California versus staying home in your little suburbia town, it's like, was this worth it? And I think that's one of the charming parts about Tangled is that she does find the courage within herself, with a little bit of help from Flynn, to break free of her bubble and find the truth.
okay. I haven't seen Tangled, by the way.
You haven't seen Tangled?
I
All right,
haven't
this
seen
podcast is
Tangled.
over.
I watched a lot of Disney movies, and I had a list of stuff to try and get through,
Did
and I
you
didn't
watch
get through all of
Brave,
them.
Molly?
So, Tangled and the. So, okay, I'll tell you what's on my list, and I'll tell you. So here's what I watched. I watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Sleeping
Okay.
Beauty, The Little
Mhm,
Mermaid, the original
mhm,
one, Princess and the Frog, Cinderella.
mhm.
Um, Princess and the Frog I've seen before, but I watched that again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Elemental, although not Disney princess.
it is a good movie.
Pocahontas.
It's a sleeper movie.
It's a sleeper movie.
Sleeper movie, as
Um,
in the sense of like they didn't push it hard enough with
oh,
advertising.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool film. I did enjoy it. I do feel like the ending for Elemental felt a bit weak to me, with that guy dying but then not dying. I was like, oh, jeez, like, come on, just let him die. just, just let
But
him stay dead.
I thought that was really creative. I thought that was creative in a sense.
It well.
Because like, does he turn into an air person? Like he's
I was kind
water.
of like, I felt like it would have been a stronger ending had he just stayed dead.
No,
That's how I
don't,
felt about it. Like
no.
when he came back
Mm-mm,
to life, I was just kind of
mm.
like,
I absolutely do not think so. I think it would have been
yeah.
cool if he was like reborn as like a cloud person and then rained himself back into water. And then there was like this new fusion of like, I'm cloud water person because that's what you made me.
Well, maybe
But
that could have worked, but coming back to life
yeah,
as the same thing,
but
I
he
just
ain't
felt it
dead
felt
dead.
like a
Like he's
cop
not
out.
Mufasa
Yeah,
dead.
yeah. And it was like that's
I
cool,
love Elemental. I think that one's like a really cool movie. I
but
love the
yeah,
visuals. I love the storyline of like the immigrant to the new country. I really love that story. Anyways, okay, so
yeah. So
on your
yeah,
list.
watch that Elemental, Pocahontas, and Moana. Those ones that I watched.
Moana! We didn't touch
I watched
Moana
Moana.
at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we haven't mentioned Moana either. Was she a Disney? Wait, was she a Disney princess? She was.
She
Well,
is
kinda. She was
included
like,
in the Disney Princess lineup.
yeah, she a princess because
But
like
the thing is,
she
she
was
calls
like the
herself
daughter of
a
the village chief,
chieftain's
wasn't it?
daughter. Yeah.
So
She
what was
doesn't
that?
claim herself as a princess. Even there's a line, but under Disney princess IP branding, she falls within it.
But yeah, I watched that. Now I've seen Frozen and I've seen Brave, but I haven't watched them recently. So I saw those like years ago. So I've seen Frozen 2 actually as well. And I've seen
Okay.
Brave. Those are cool movies, but I haven't watched them recently. And
I
then the
am so
ones,
sorry. Go on.
oh yeah, and
We'll
then the
hit
ones
Brave
I
in a minute.
haven't watched. Yeah.
I can
Then the
lightly
ones I
talk on Brave. So
no, we could talk about Brave. I think I remember a little bit from there. But yeah, the ones I didn't watch were Tangled and then the remake of The Little Mermaids, the 2023 live action version. That was on the list, but I haven't watched it.
That's okay.
And I'm sure there's like loads of other movies that just weren't even on the list either. So like, yeah. But those are the ones
Yeah,
that are on my list.
Yeah, I think primarily for this podcast, we wanted to focus mainly on the animated movies, not the live
Yeah.
actions, because I
Oh
would
yeah,
have
for
to go
sure.
back and watch Maleficent and Maleficent, Mistress of Darkness. I didn't want to watch that. I also really think the live action Beauty and the Beast sucks balls. So, anyways, that is by
But
far one of the worst live actions. But yeah,
what did
Brave. We could hit that really quick.
yeah, what did you think of Brave? I mean, it was a while since I've seen it, but I remember enjoying it. I don't remember the exact story right now, but I remember thinking it was pretty cool. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so Brave is what I would call the Final Fantasy 15 experience. You have this really great fucking setup, a premise, storyline, beautiful visuals, and just the first half of the movie is just like perfect storytelling. You're like right there in it. It's fabulous. Anyone who hasn't played Final Fantasy 15, it's okay. You don't have to. Just watch a Let's Play because the rest of it gets really shitty and it's not great. You know why? Because they changed directors. That means that the direction of the story changed, and then like the visuals and everything is still really great, but the storyline does not make fucking sense, and it doesn't really work because you have the story of the bear and the bow, and then you have this other rando douchebag coming in saying, "I don't want the story to progress this way anymore. I'm going to do it my way." And when people do that, it doesn't really have a good yin and yang with your direction style and your art story, like storytelling, and then someone else
Mm.
changes it to be something like a piece of shit. And that's what happened with Brave. So with Brave, you had this really strong correlation of this queen and king of Scotland, I believe it is some area.
Yeah,
I
I
believe it's
think
Scotland.
so.
They had the tartan. Um, and you have this really strong princess that is going against the cultural norm of like a stereotypical princess, which is yes, I like weaving and tapestry, and I can do my studies. No, Merida loves being outdoors. She likes doing the guy things. She's a tomboy. She wants to not be in a dress. She's climbing waterfalls and shit. Like this chick is like the opposite of Disney princess, whereas her mother is like the epitome, the highest stature of perfection of Disney princess, aka Disney queen. So you have both of these coming together and fighting each other, which you have this as like for me, I had this problem because like I want to appease my mom and I'll do it, but at the same time I want to be who I am. So it's just really heartbreaking because the first part of the story sets this up as this mother-daughter dilemma, and then all of a sudden you just throw in this like random, oh, we're going to turn her into a bear and this is how it's going to play out. Oh wait, but now we're going to have a second bear that's the villain and it's going to try to kill your mom, and you're never going to be able to repair your relationship with your daughter because you turned her into a bear, and your mom's actually going to lose her humanity because now she's a bear and she's going to turn feral. It's like you lost everything that you built in the first part of the movie of like this queen of like the epitome of ruling. Like as soon as she comes into the room, everyone stops and is like, everyone stops roughhousing, everyone stops fighting, and they realize, okay, the queen is here. Like we have to respect her, and her rule is absolute. And her daughter is like, being an adolescent. So Brave really let me down in the sense of this was the first Disney movie where they don't include singing, and they do fight against that whole like I don't want to be married, I don't want to have to be with a man right now kind of situation, where it's just like, yeah, she's 14, you shouldn't have to choose a suitor for her right now. Like let her explore herself before she has to become the royal next person in line.
Mm.
And that was something that was so powerful in that essence before the director changed, and you can really feel that. So it had so much potential. The first part of the movie was so perfectly written. And then the second half with the bears and like, oh, here's an extra bad guy, and like my mom's now really turning into a bear that I can't talk to her with language anymore. It really fell flat.
Ah,
There you
okay.
go. That
Yeah,
is
that's a.
Rave in a nutshell. No, I still love the characters. I think Merit is a great princess. I really do, despite the story arc changing.
That's a shame. I mean, when it came out 2012, so I probably would have watched it. Maybe I think probably ran about not maybe right then, but maybe a year or two after it came out. I think I would have watched this. So we're talking, yeah, more than 10 years at this point. Um, but yeah, I guess at that time I would have watched it just as a movie and maybe just enjoyed it for what it was and perhaps didn't spot all the inconsistencies. Um, uh, so yeah, it'd be interesting to maybe if I watch it again and see if I could see it. But yeah, I could see here on the Disney page they got two directors, Mark Andrews and then Brenda Chapman.
Yeah,
I guess one came before the other by the
Brenda
sounds
was
of it.
first.
Brenda was first.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Mark Andrews took over. Okay. And then, but yeah, I know with other film projects where they've had similar things with director changes or, other sort of creative changes and mid production. Yeah, more time it doesn't go so well. It just feels like disjointed and a bit weird. It's like going from, you know, that would have happened with Star Wars movies, where they went from one director to another. Granted, that was a bit more planned, as in it was planned to change directors, but
But the
even then,
storyline
like
was
the
not
story
cohesive.
was.
They
Oh
wasted a
yeah,
movie.
but yeah, the story
It
clearly
was
wasn't
so
planned at
bad.
all. You know, like they planned on changing directors, cool, but then they didn't plan on having a consistent storyline by the looks of it. And
It was
that's
so
even with some
awful.
planning, it can still go wrong. So when you have a time where it's like it wasn't planned to change directors and it just happenstance, and then you got this movie made, or what's the other one, Justice League, where they had to change the directors mid production and where a lot of it was already done, and then they changed directors due to, well, family tragedy. But even then, it was like the end result was just this movie that kind of felt like it's supposed to be good, but wasn't. you know.
I have to say that the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League was amazing. I
Oh, for
really
sure,
enjoyed that.
for sure. Um, I felt like that is what DC needed at the time, and it's a shame that wasn't released because DC were playing. Well, they still kind of are playing catch up to Marvel. I mean, Marvel's kind of got their own problems right now, but back then DC were playing catch up in a massive way, and one of the
Mhm.
reasons was that they had they had these movies coming out. They're trying to do what Marvel did over, I think at the time, a 78 year period, and they're trying to do that over the course of a few movies. It's clearly not happening. They needed something that was going to explain who they are, show their motivations, give some backstory, because especially for the lesser known characters, where it's like not everybody knows that much about Cyborg and the Flash, and you know what I mean. They're lesser
Yeah,
known characters at the time. I mean, people know of them. They're not unknown nobodies. I get that, but they're not like Superman. They're not Batman that everybody knows about. Superman, Batman. Even if you don't follow the comics, you know about Superman, Batman, right? So
yeah.
the lesser
Red
known
underwear,
characters
blue
needed
suit,
that
red
space.
cape. Superman.
Yeah. And the Snyder Cut gave them that space to kind of flesh them out of who they are. So by the time while you watch this movie, you feel for them a lot more, So yeah, that's really what DC needed at the time. It's a shame that it didn't happen. Um, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, such is life. Such is
Yeah.
life.
There was a. I'm looking at our notes, and we totally forgot one hella crucial princess.
Okay, who do we
This
forget?
entire
Who
podcast.
who who
Princess
got missed off
Jasmine.
the list?
Aladdin.
Oh, Aladdin. I did watch Aladdin actually as well. Why is not Aladdin on my list of movies that I
It
watched?
is.
I did
It's at
watch
the bottom.
Aladdin. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry, Princess Jasmine. But yeah, I did watch Aladdin. I did watch Aladdin.
I absolutely love Princess Jasmine. She's like, she's definitely one of my top princesses, but she's not the princess. Like, she's not Cinderella. Like, she's not.
She is pretty cool though, because she had the whole thing about women can't do this, and women have to, the princess has to marry such and such, and
Right.
that whole thing. And she was like, from the beginning, nah, I ain't trying to do that.
Yeah, I
Like
can't believe
she
I
wasn't even
totally
on like
forgot
this
that there's
journey
a
of I need to
whole
discover. Just like from the jump, it's like, nah, fam, who you talking to? Like I'll do what I want to do from the jump.
no,
She
no,
was
no,
like
no,
that.
no. Yeah, she was all,
So
they're all
like,
like, here comes a new suitor for the princess. She's like, no, you peacock, and like, get the hell out. And like,
right.
no, not about that. I may be a princess, but I'm gonna choose my man when I see him. And the sad part is like she really did want to explore. She wanted to be more than just royalty. So
Mm.
yeah, I think she's a great Disney princess. Like she had the kind of like sheltered imperialist life, kind of like the reverse of I guess it is the same as Tangled, but you know Flynn's a thief, Aladdin's a thief. Get together, woohoo. Go on a little adventure on a like an inanimate object. You got a little boat. You got a carpet. Woo!
Yeah, she was it. That was a whole new world, wasn't it? A whole new
Mhm.
world. Yeah. But yeah,
It's one of my best
just
karaoke songs.
have you
Anyway,
seen
yeah,
the remake of Aladdin? I've not seen the remake of Aladdin, but have
I
you seen
have
it?
seen
The
it,
live
and I
action
have
with
to admit
Smith.
it's really good. I think you should watch it because um while they do have some discrepancies here and there, I think it's okay for a more modern telling. I will have to spoil a tiny bit for you. Like they take out
No, that's
slave,
fine.
like sexy red Jasmine, so that's not in there.
Okay.
So you don't get sexy Jasmine, but she still has to like appease Jafar somehow. So that like that's there, but you don't get sexy Jasmine, and I'm just like sexy Jasmine, man, I love that. I've made 2 Jasmine cosplays in my time, and sexy Jasmine does. I need to do that one justice better. Like my pants don't fit properly, but it's still a good costume. Like the top fits, the bottom it just needs a tiny bit of work and it looks good.
Well, I mean,
But
you're
yeah,
a
you don't get
few
sexy
months along
Jasmine.
now, so
Huh?
when the baby pops out, you might be able to fit into it again.
Yeah. It needs more fabric in the bottom and then it's fine, but it's okay. Not because I'm bigger because of that. Like no, the length doesn't hit right, so it's above my ankle. So it looks weird. So I just gotta fix it.
Yeah. To be honest, I think at this point in my life, I'm totally fine without a sexy Jasmine.
Are you
I feel like
sure?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
1,000%
if I mean,
red hot
how old is
sexy
the actress
Jasmine?
that plays Jasmine? She's got to be like
Naomi Scott?
teenage years or something. I can't be looking at no teenager like that
No,
anyway. So that's
no, she's of age.
I,
Hold on.
I can't. Nah, if she's younger than 25,
No, she's born in 1993. She's
93.
30.
Oh, that's my little brother's age, man.
She's
Like,
turning 31. You can look at her. If she was in Sexy Jasmine, you'd be fine. Okay. You can't be
all
watching
right.
like Descendants, like the little musical shit on Disney Channel, and be like, "Wow, that chick is cute." Like you can say she's cute, but you can't say she's sexy or hot.
No, that's true. That's true. Big difference. Big difference. She
Exactly.
could be
That's why
cute.
we
She could
ain't
be
going into that.
beautiful, but yeah, she can't be hot. That's mm-mm,
Crossing the line.
mm-mm,
Kind of like when people are
mm-mm,
like Bobby Millie Brown is hot. I'm like, don't fucking say that to me, okay?
mm-mm.
I'm not ready to hear that shit. And her stylist needed to be fired when she was like 16.
Bobby Millie. Oh, that's Stranger Things, isn't it? Yeah, Bobby.
Yeah, she just did a
I was
new movie.
actually quite disappointed that she's not related to Bobby Brown, the singer. Like, I was like, man, like
I'm also disappointed that Michael Jordan's not related to Michael Jordan.
right, like, come
Like, what
on,
the fuck?
like, come on, man. Was it? Oh wait, it's Millie Bobby Brown, by the way, not
Yeah,
Bobby.
Millie
I
Bobby
got it.
Brown.
It's the other way around. Millie Bobby Brown. But
Either way.
either way, it's like, can you be related to Bobby Brown? Can you be related? Like, maybe not direct relation, but like a distant cousin or something. Can we go
Yeah.
to the universe where they're related?
Where
That's
everyone's
where I
not
want to be.
related to Nick Cannon.
Yeah.
But he has like 13 kids. Hold on.
Sons of Cannon. That could be a new series.
He's got 12.
12. Oof.
He's got
That's when
12. Two with
That's trying
Mariah
to
Carey as
populate a
well.
nation. Can you believe it? Mariah Carey is Nick Cannon's
That's a
baby
story
mama.
on its own.
Mariah Carey is Nick Cannon's baby mama. That's mad to say
One of
that.
them.
Yeah,
One of
exactly, not even just one of them. Mariah Carey is one of Nick Cannon's baby mamas.
Like
What?
that guy, like I don't care how much he makes. He got Mariah Carey to be a baby mama for him. Like, I don't know. That's
Yeah. Wow.
like, bro. Wow.
Right.
Like, I don't care if she's
But,
Queen of Christmas. Just the name Mariah Carey has weight, you know, bro. Anyways, yeah.
By the way, Millie Bobby Brown's in a new movie on Netflix called Damsel. It looks pretty cool, actually. I haven't seen much from it, but for what I have seen, it looks pretty cool. And it looks like it kind of touches on some of the things we were talking about the whole damsel in distress, but they're kind of stepping out on their own, doing their own thing.
Right.
So at least that's the kind of gist of what I'm getting right now. So might have some relations to some of the things we were talking about in this episode. In fact, yeah,
Right.
because a dutiful damsel agrees to marry a handsome prince, only to find the royal family has recruited her as a sacrifice to repay an ancient debt. And then it
I mean,
goes
that
into some
sounds
stuff
pretty
that
cool to
I'm
me.
not going
I'm
to
cool with that.
read.
Like, if I get married and become a princess, like, I'm already married. Like, if in a different lifetime I have to become a sacrifice to, like, some ancient deity, I'll be like, can you at least, like, teach me shit before I die?
Teach you how to come back.
Well, I don't really mind that. I just want to experience shit. Like, look, if I become a sacrifice to you, can you like do stuff for me? Because I'm going to sacrifice myself for you, or are you just going to eat me? Like, that's kind of a waste, don't you think? Like,
I see what you mean. Yeah, like a two-way
like, you
thing.
know,
Like
I'm going to barter
you get
with
a
you.
sacrifice, but can I get something out of this too? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can have my flesh, like, bit by bit, so you're not going to be alone. Like, yeah, it's going to hurt me, but can we cauterize it afterwards? Like, okay. Like, I don't know.
Let me live
I'm
before I
just weird like
cannot.
that. But yeah, that's on my to-do list. So Disney released this movie
get
called...
sacrificed or to watch Damsel?
Okay. Well,
What's on your to-do list? Getting sacrificed?
Yeah, sure. Like, yeah, when I make a video game, I'm gonna make it. Oh, I gotta be sacrificed to this giant dragon. Hey, I bet you're really lonely here. Do you have anyone to talk to? Like, what do you do? How do you spend your time? So if I gotta be a sacrifice to you, is it for like hunger? Like, do you just want to eat me now because I'm annoying? Do you just want to flame broil me and then eat me later? Or do you want like a companion? Because I sure as hell don't want to stick with that guy. What? Yeah,
I think if I was like to sacrifice a person for food, it'd probably have to be bit by bit. I don't know, because here's the thing, like with meat, is that if you know, once an animal's dead, it's dead, right? So if you just kill somebody for their meat, you have to then figure out how you're going to store the meat that you're not eating, because you're not going to eat it all at once. So you need to figure out how you're going to store it. And that could be a whole job within itself. Like, I mean, how many freezers are big enough to fit a person in there? There's probably not that many. I mean, you can get them, but they're not that many, and they're probably like difficult to. They're probably really expensive. And then you could figure out, do you even have space for a freezer that big to keep a whole human inside? So I feel like if you're going to do it, then yeah, do it bit by bit. Like maybe start with a hand, because that's a good bit of meat on the hand. And then they can stay alive, keeping the rest of their meat fresh until you're ready to eat it.
We're talking about. Like, it just depends on the sacrifice. Because, like, what if they're like, I need a whole leg each week?
Well, you couldn't need more than one person, I think.
I don't know. See, that's the problem. We don't, like, if you were to be a sacrifice, would you just be like, eat me whole? Or so get it done and over with?
If I'm getting sacrificed. If I'm being sacrificed, yeah, just get it over and done with. I don't want to be just get over and done with. If I have a choice, as in like not to be sacrificed, then yeah, I'll choose that.
You have to. You're 1,000%.
But if it's like, well, look, I've exhausted all my options and it's going to happen, then yeah, do it quick.
Yeah,
just do it quick.
Okay, that's okay. Because like,
if I'm sacrificing
on Disney right now called The Princess, and it's just not what I was hoping for. It's like this princess who knows how to fight, and it's supposed to be like this girl power kind of thing. But really, it's just fighting, and it lacks a great story. And there's a clear villain, and it's like this guy just wants to rule the kingdom, and the king only gave birth to daughters. And the daughter is a princess, and she knows how to fight, and she's fighting her way through the castle to save her family. And it's just like, you could have wrote that better.
Yeah.
It was just a bunch of hack slash fighting, and it's like this really sucks.
What's that film
Sometimes
called?
people overdo it. Hmm?
What's that film called?
The Princess. It's
Oh,
on
it's just
Disney
oh,
Plus.
it's The Princess. Okay, just The
Yeah, because I
Princess.
was like, what? This looks really cool. There's a girl that's a princess holding a sword in the thumbnail. I'm gonna watch it. Nah. Mm. Like, it wants to be like a martial arts movie mixed with Disney princessism and like damsel not in distress because she can save herself. And it's like this girl empowerment kind of thing. And I'm just like, you know, this isn't that great of a movie. Like, I get the whole, like, I don't want to marry you because you're just trying to rule my father's kingdom. But it's just like, this is really unnecessary.
I guess they dropped the ball hard on
Yeah.
that one, but it sounds
Because,
like
like, if
oof.
another reference point would be like the Swan Princess. Yeah, he wants to marry her. He, not only because he finds her pretty, but he also wants to rule the country. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to do it this way, or I kill your dad, and then I rule the country. And he's like, but it'd be easier if you just marry me. And then she's all like, nah. So he turns her into a swan.
Wait, is that that's not Disney. Is that a Disney movie as well?
Technically, it's Disney now because they bought Fox.
Okay. Was that called Swan Princess? Okay, I don't know if I've been. Okay, it's not my thing here. Anyway, never mind, never mind. It's fine.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's not like the Disney Princess lineup, so.
Cool. That's all good. But yeah, I think we've talked about maybe like everything. I'm sure there's loads of Disney princesses we haven't talked about, but I think we've talked about a lot of Disney princesses today. Um, we've talked about a lot, so and we've covered a lot of different themes and topics over this thing. But before we end, is there anything else you'd like to add in the realms of Disney princesses and anything we might not have covered or anything like that?
Yeah, Disney princess shoe. I have the Cinderella shoe.
Okay. Is that
This was
glass though?
actually I wanted to show this because I love this shoe. This is my wedding shoes, but they are the Cinderella shoes that Jimmy Choo designed during the 2015 movie. They asked 6 different designers to design the Cinderella shoe as a reimagining, and these are the ones by Jimmy Choo. And they were also worn by Lily James on the red carpet at one point. So
But do they
not
fit
the
you
exact
though?
shoe that she wore, but they are the same model and they're in my size.
They're
I like
okay. So they okay. So if the prince came to say, "Oh, yeah, I want to see if this shoe fit," it would fit you.
yeah, because this is my shoe.
That would fit
Mm-mm.
you. Okay, cool. That's all right. It'd be a bit
I
awkward if
also
it didn't
to
fit you.
Disneyland and people are like, "What the fuck?"
Is it just one shoe though? You got the pair.
No, I got the pair. The other one's in
You got the
in
pair.
my
Okay.
cabinet. I like keeping it on display because it's one of my most favorite things ever.
All right. Nice. So we have the real life Cinderella. I didn't realize we had the real life Cinderella
Ah,
in the podcast today.
I
What we
did get
do
married in France in a castle.
explains why you know so much about Disney princesses. I guess really.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's going to be a good place to wrap up this episode of the Uncivilized Arts podcast. Thank you for watching and or listening. If you have any suggestions of topics or things you want to hear us talk about, drop them in the comments and see what I can do. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. So guys, until whenever, if ever, peace.